Stylish on the outside, savage on the inside. Legion by Lenovo.
Hello everybody, good evening, and welcome to the very final Playday for North America. That's number 14. We started 6 months ago, and we finally made it. And for all the teams involved, differing stakes at play here. The two teams in North America to represent the region for Milan qualified last week. Evil Geniuses and Dark Zero are on through. But what's at stake is still going to be that 7th spot to compete in the relegation matchup. I'm Intero, this is Flynn.
That's me.
Nice to see you all. We have the standings for you.
We do. Taking a look at the standings, like Parker just said, the top two teams that needed to qualify for Milan, our Season 9 finals, already locked in their spots and already locked in their seeds. So for Evil Geniuses and Dark Zero, their opportunities tonight are to play spoiler on an entire season and possibly the future prospects of Season 10 recurring for one of these two teams at the bottom. Accelerate and Rise Nation deadlocked at 10 points, but the tiebreaker goes to the side of Accelerate, handedly beating them 14-9, I believe, in aggregate score. So EXG, they've already played both their games against Rise. They will hold that tiebreak. It's a very simple prospect for the rest of the night. Rise, you need to win. EXG, they need to lose or tie for Rise to get out of the 7th spot, or else this is how the standings, at least at the bottom, will look heading out of Week 14. We will wrap up with Rise Nation having to play against the number 2 seeded CL team coming out of North America.
And here's the schedule for you. You might notice that one of the teams has a night off. This has been the case since that Orgulous squad disbanded about halfway through the season, just coming back from the 6th Invitational break. Well, it's Rogue who's got the night off tonight. If you go back to those standings, then you'll notice that Space Station, who started the day in 5th, could possibly vault up to 3rd with a win over Reciprocity. Keep in mind that Space Station has had a great run through the second half, but coming up just a bit too short in order to qualify for Milan. Doesn't really matter, it's all just for posterity in that Reciprocity Space Station match. Our first match of the night, as you mentioned, Rob, EXG and Rise Nation are going to be competing to dig themselves out of that 7th place spot. Both of those teams have occupied the lower half of the standings for much of the season. It's do or die now, but you're still at least safe. Luckily for the rest of North America, Orgulous bit the bullet a little bit earlier on, took up that much maligned auto-relegation spot amongst the teams, so they don't have to worry about it that much. So North America, you might be able to keep all 7 of these teams around.
It would come down to the play-in game.
That's true. That is very true. We have some operator picks for you as well. So you're always curious as to who gets picked the most. Well, with North America, it's pretty top-heavy, but there's quite a bit of a logjam there in the 30s, as you notice. From Valkyrie down to Maestro, 4th through 10th. There's only 16% separating these operators.
So for this kind of, I guess we're 14, almost 14 games in. We're almost done the entire season, so there's a much more comprehensive look at the operators. This tells a much bigger story with a much larger sample size than, say, after Week 1 or Week 2. For Jaeger still being the top, not a big shock, but Legion in North America, that is one operator that has spiked in play rate. Honestly, in contrast to other regions, we don't see this in Latin America as much. We don't see this in EU. I think Legion's in the top 10, but down in the 7 to 8 range in EU. Not even on the board in Latin America. Loving their Legion is just a different form of intel. We take a look at the bans, though, and see who are the top ban defenders in North America. And no surprise, Maestro leading the charge. It's still your big 3 as far as your defenders. Maestro, Echo, and Mira, with Valkyrie and Pulse rearing up in 4th and 5th. Again, not a big shock. The big difference between the regions this season is which one of these big three do they absolutely not want to play against?
That's true. You are limited in the bans that you can have. I've been a little surprised with how little Kaid bans we've seen, just because he is a newer operator, though I don't necessarily think he needs to be outright banned. We did see him get banned, though, last week on Clubhouse. That's pretty standard. You see, Kaid in play. Well, you might lose a Thatcher, you might lose a Twitch, etc., and Kaid can be a lot harder to ban. Maps like Oregon as well, where you'll see him get banned out as well. Here are the attackers and how they stack up. Now, Thatcher, interestingly enough, the highest pick rate in North America. Dare I say, I believe the only region where he has the highest pick rate overall. For most of the regions, it's a hard breacher who occupies that spot, be it Thermite or Hibana. But Hibana, second in North America, higher than a lot of regions. Thermite, the most picked operator in Latin America. They love their Thermite. But it's Thatcher in NA who's going to save the day yet again. And very similar to what we saw on the defenders side of things, while the attackers tend to be a little bit top-heavy, there's a greater spread through that 40 through 30% there, as you can see. And despite the fact that he's been banned a surprising 22% of the time, Jackal is still in the top 10.
Take a look at the top banned attackers as well, just to round out this nice little conversation. Hey, big shot. It's Glass Ying at the top 2, and then we have Maverick Jackal, as you said, 22% ban rate. 4th most banned operator in North America, only 4% behind second, and then Hibana rounding it out in the 5th spot. Again, not a big shock. Let's take a look at the maps, though. What are the top played? What are the top banned maps? We're looking at the top played right now in Oregon and North America. That is correct, I think.
Well, we'll go off of the information that we have.
Yeah.
Last week, the 3 maps that were played on were Border, Bank, and Border. So it's safe to say that with EG, Reciprocity, and Rise, that there will be no Border at all this week. So we're free of Border. Border is gone. Insert the crab emotes for everybody there. I don't know where we're going to end up going, though, on these actual matchups. It's the last week, and it's going to be interesting to see if teams decide to hide some things or if teams will be going full throttle. For your teams such as Accelerate and Rise Nation, they've got a lot on the line. They're likely going to be trying their damnedest. Here's the inverse. The should have the top band for you as well. Top played, top band. The numbers we are getting told are not correct.
Yeah, I was going to say, looks a
So
little off.
that's okay. That's okay.
It's okay.
We'll come back to
we'll
us.
just we'll just bring it back on in. It's all good.
The point is that Border is out this week, so we're not going to
It
see
is.
any Border. Very similar to which Playday was it? We've casted now.
Dude,
Five.
they all run into each other.
Casted 5 of the last 6 Playdays together.
Mhm.
And I can't remember if it was EU or Latin America, but there was no coastline for that day, and there was no Oregon for another one of those days, if I remember correctly. So it would have been EU. I believe that had no coastline. So we had no EU, or we had no coastline. We had no Oregon. Both of those are on the board today for us to be able to play. There's going to be no Border today, though. But anywho, we have a matchup to start off the day. It's going to be the 2 teams that have EG in their name, but one of them has an X in between, and it's going to be Accelerate Gaming going up against Evil Geniuses. And we'll start off with Accelerate. They made a change. No more Tomas. He doesn't even play for the team anymore. It's
Nope.
Pojo Man stepping in this place.
Yeah, Coach Pojo, that didn't last very long, but he's back in a mainstay role on the roster, at least for the end of this season. We'll have to wait and see what happens with EXG. Maybe there's an eventuality in which they're playing in a relegation match and then lose and get sent back down to Challenger League, and then it all gets blown to hell. But for the moment, Pojo Man is a mainstay on the roster. He'll be replacing Thomas. And for EXG, bad start to the season. Thomas comes in and helps correct some things. Still a couple star performers on the team with not a lot of depth. Head into the break, Pojo comes over as coach. Again, small improvements here and there, but still not enough to really carry them into that upper echelon of North America. And when you compare them to the upper echelon of North America, you got to talk about Evil Geniuses, Young, Canadian, NVK, Necrox, and Geo.
The staple and the first team in North America to also qualify for the Milan Finals, and in doing so, also secured Dark Zero. Leave it to Dark Zero to qualify without actually playing that day. Just Dark Zero things, I suppose you could say. Evil Geniuses have had a bit of a disappointing run over the last couple lands for their fans, ultimately going out in the quarters in a variety of different ways, under very odd circumstances, so to speak. But despite this, they've looked in top form in North America. They started off the second half of the season with a little bit of a slide. I believe they called it a rut, did they say? A slump?
Yes.
but they managed to find their way out of it. And they did so at the perfect opportunity and the perfect time to be able to rack up as many points as they could. And still, no matter what, they're going to sit at the top of NA at the end of today because they hold all the tiebreakers that they need. There's no way that they're going to be getting out of it. The only team that could have bested them would have been in that crazy three-way tie or four-way tie where SSG, Reciprocity, Dark Zero, and Evil Geniuses all finished with 28 points. That was a possibility, but it would have been SSG actually finishing first. EG still would have made it to LAN. So, we have the map veto system for you. We'll see where we're going, where we won't be going. Border is not going to be played at all this play day, so you don't have to worry about that. If you hate the map, congratulations, you don't have to see it today. EG starting on defense, Accelerate starting on attack, and we're going to go to the same map that the teams squared off on at the start of the season, in which EG gave EXG an absolute drubbing, 7-1 Coastline.
Yeah, that first game of the season wasn't exactly close. Now, granted, that was 6 months ago. That was, well, not 6 months ago because super month. It was a long time ago. That was back in January. And that was with a different roster for EXG. With this roster, there's been some changes. Take a look at the community vote and see what you guys back home are thinking between this matchup. Yeah, that's not very shocking. Not too much to read into there.
Yeah, that makes an awful lot of sense. EG is an incredibly popular team. Even when they're not performing, they still tend to do well in community votes, and they have been performing. And if you just look at this matchup in particular in a bit of a vacuum, EG just crushed them 7-1. It wasn't particularly close. Achieved a good performance, if I remember correctly, but that game for EG was carried by both Necrox as well as Young, and NVK had some pretty good performances as well. Coastline has been a very interesting map for EG because I know that we had actually mentioned on one of the broadcasts a couple weeks ago that it wasn't necessarily statistically their best map, but Troy rebuked that, turning around and saying that, yes, we do feel that we get results on it. We're very confident on it. And there's obviously a monkey on their back regarding the ways that they've gone out in Coastline. They haven't exactly had the best faring against Coastline. Both invitationals, they lost their series on Coastline in both of them, so clearly there's something at play there. But they're going up against EXG today in a matchup that for EG is really just for bragging rights at this point. Even if they lose and everybody else wins today, EG sits in that first place spot. This is really for their round differential. This is an opportunity to possibly try some new things out. For Accelerate, the stakes are obviously much higher. You saw they came in 6th place. They obviously want to avoid getting that 7th spot. Not auto-relegated, but at least having to fight for their spot. And if you've been following North American Challenger League, it's been a bit of a slide for Organized Chaos. The first team in North America that qualified for the playoffs in Challenger League. That's the squad that has Oasis, Art, Foltz, Gurmy, and Merc. Obviously, Gurmy Wormy, being a former pro player, announced a couple days ago that he's actually stepped off of the team, so there's likely going to be a new 5th member of Organized Chaos. They've been on a bit of a slide recently. Every event that they've played in, every match they've played in over the last little while, haven't had the best performance. On the Ascendancy was a team that I think a lot of people thought should have been first overall in Challenger League, which is the Susquehanna Sonics. They've been looking in tip-top shape as of late.
Yeah, and there's a couple others rounding out. So everyone talked about, Vicious, the former team known as 92 Dream Team. They've now left the org, so they're no longer Vicious. But I guess they're going back to the
92 Dream Team.
Back to the 92 Dream Team. They had a rough start to the CL season. I don't think they picked up a win for the first 4 games, and then they kind of bounced back a little bit. They're still hanging with it in the playoff picture. Elevate, another former org that was in Pro League, is now back in NA Challenger League. If you guys are fans of Elevate, I know there's a lot of them out there that still rock Elevate charms and emotes in chat. Elevate had a strong start, but they've started to taper off a little bit. And then Disrupt, another team that looked like they were going to be a very strong contender last season in Challenger League. That was up until Gotcha left to go coach Evil Geniuses, our team tonight. And then they brought in a replacement player for the playoffs, and they didn't fare too well. So they're back. They've got Yeti on board as well, former member of Orglis. Team's looking good. So the playoff picture in NACL right now is looking incredible. If you're EXG, if you're Rise, don't even try and flirt with that kind of disaster, because it could be the end of your life in Pro League.
We've spent quite a bit of time, I suppose, talking about the leagues under Pro League, be they events, be they amateur leagues, etc. And Challenger League exists in this semi-professional bubble, whereas a lot of these players are getting, paid salaries to compete. There's obviously a prize pool as well for Challenger League, so it's a bit of a different stakes than just playing in a community league. But when you look at Challenger League, North American Challenger League for so long, at least as long as I've been following it, has really been characterized by having 3 good teams and then 5 teams that just kind of haven't really hung around all that much. There's a lot of chaos, shall we say, in those rosters, and they're constantly making roster moves. They're dumping players, they're changing things up, they're not following by going with orgs. They're just kind of playing under funny names, etc. But I think this is really the first season where it seems like North American Challenger League has paid as much attention to themselves and being as good as they possibly can as other regions. I think right now the gold standard for Challenger League is still Europe. They tend to take Challenger League supposedly the most serious. I actually think we could see EU Challenger League expand to 16 teams and see quite one hell of a fight between all of them, given how deep the talent pool tends to be in Europe. But I'm glad to see that North American Challenger League is taking it, I don't want to say more seriously because that sounds almost patronizing, but I do like to see that the skill gap between the lower Challenger League teams and the higher ones has closed by quite a lot.
Yeah, it's shrunk immeasurably. We're jumping in, though. Okay, I'm going to assume that was a mistake, but no one's calling for a rehost or anything. So, I mean, this is an option. No one ever does it in a normal game.
Is it the first time we've seen that in a pro game?
I'm going to go with yes.
I can't remember the last time there was no ban.
So, yeah, if no one is aware, no one's tested out the banning feature or anything, you didn't play the SI playlist, you haven't played customs, yeah, you can just choose to not ban an operator. It has, yeah, like I said, I don't think it's happened in a Pro League match to this day, so we're starting off interesting. Okay, EG. They're taking their sweet time on a defender maybe ban. This could also be a no ban.
Survey says, all right.
Cool.
So there's saving strats. There's saving strats, and then there's saving strats.
Yeah.
And I think we have the latter here. Oh,
this is going to be a fun night. This is going to be a fun night.
That from Evil Geniuses. Hard to really dive into the analysis behind this, as you can clearly see that EG have banned no operators. So that's interesting. Are they letting them pick their operators for them? I was wondering.
It looks like NVK did.
If you don't pick an operator by the time the timer expires, it auto picks an operator for you. And I was wondering if we were about to see the ultimate strat roulette of strat roulettes, just letting the game pick your operators, but EG locked them all at the last second.
I'm cool with that.
It's exciting.
It is.
It's exciting. It's exciting to see.
Such a mess. I love it.
A little bit more utility on the side of Evil Geniuses in a lineup that doesn't look too out of place. As you've got a Legion to be able to stop the advances, you've got your grenade denial, you've got... The only thing that's really kind of strange is the Rook, but I mean, Rook isn't that weird. It's just you usually see a Doc run in this place a lot of times. That's really it. Everything else looks pretty par for the course with EG.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot more, I guess, role swapping. We've seen that at a G2 from there. I guess mixing and matching with knowing that they wouldn't be at Milan for a while now. Just trying new things and seeing if they stick. So I thought Evil Geniuses might be attempting that, but for right now, everyone seems to be in their mainstay role. We can obviously wait until later on. It's only been one round, and last round also wasn't very indicative of their typical roles. I'm waiting to see some more curveballs here from Evil Geniuses, I guess. Everything in this round so far has been standard, but I doubt they want to play a singular round standard to the way they would normally play.
I mean, people like to joke about saving strats, but in all reality, if you have a matchup where you don't really need to show what you usually do, you're going to take that opportunity. You know, why do you need to give away possible strategies or mindset or even the smallest bit of your thought process in an altercation that doesn't really matter, right? For Evil Geniuses, this matchup is the final one of their season, but it's not going to change anything in the standings. And not that you try to underplay the match between the two teams, but it's very clear just from the way that if you look at the standings and the way that these seasons have played out, that EXG has a lot more on the line. It makes a lot less sense if EG were to fully bust out all of their strategies, knowing that they could possibly conserve some of those for Milan. So you have a chance here now where you can play a little bit more fun and maybe not the same routine, strat-heavy way that you've played before. For EXG, you're going to see just a normal match as usual. In fact, for them, this is actually probably higher stakes than most of the matches they've played so far this season.
Well, it's going to be Crusher vaulting in over the luggage balcony as he teleports through space and time to do so. He'll make it safely into luggage, though, and Young with a beautiful peek onto Bio, repelled out onto the aquarium balcony and angling in for 2 now. Shoots the drone and will back off to safety, playing it slowly onto Crusher here. Doesn't have the health advantage. He's dropped below 50 now from that engagement against Biologic, but now it's Crusher to push in, pulling out the Inox detectors. He's got another repel coming up, and Crusher will claim the life of NVK way back in the site, but Canadian with a run out through the office door will trade out Schlongy, so Evil Genius is back with the man advantage. 2 stacked inside of luggage, and they're not going to last very long. Young bearing down and will remove Crusher from play. This diffuser surrendered as well inside of luggage, leaving Achieve now to step on a Legion Mine, and the pixel angle from Young held almost decapitating, but now the regroup. Pojo and Achieve joining forces at the top of these theater stairs, and Young taking no quarrels, and will fall eventually to the LMGE of Achieve, leaving just Achieved and Pojo left to work out of this.
Still some utility on both sides for these two teams. He'll burn out the ADS there from Achieved, but you've got Necrox anchoring down that just small wall on pink. That's usually the spot you're going to see the smoke play out of. He's got Canadian for some covering fire, even though Canadian will have to watch more than one angle now, thanks to the X-Karos going off onto that wall just by pink. Necrox will spray on in and find Achieve, which will leave Pojo there, but he'll grab 2 very impressive kills, but it doesn't matter because Necrox will still trade him out. It's going to leave Geo last alive, who doesn't even really need to be involved in anything. He just simply needs to exist, and that's what he's going to do. So EG will answer back, taking a successful defense of Hookah. Still very aggressive from Evil Geniuses. Not showing us too much. A very standard, almost default hold for Hookah, something that you would see in other levels of play by just about any team. That's very normal. You're not really showing anything crazy or innovative, and you just get very aggressive and take the fights, which was essentially why you brought the Rook. Give Young the opportunity to create rotates with those impact grenades. You had a pair of impact grenades in the Legion as well, so maybe a little bit too much, as you don't usually need 4 impacts on Hookah. And you just have Young in a position inside of Aqua where he can just shut everybody down, whether it be outside on the Aqua balcony, as we saw him take the fight to the top of luggage stairs, or over just through the luggage corridor. Doesn't really matter. EG ended up besting EXG, despite the fact that EG still could have stacked up higher on utility. This time around, they're going to run a very familiar lineup. The only substitution that EG has made is Necrox onto Ella instead of Smoke. Everything else looks to be the same.
Yeah, for this match, there's not going to be a whole lot of in-depth analysis from either of us. It's going to be a lot of, did EG's tomfoolery work out, or did it not? Did EXG counter it? For EXG, honestly, I think this is honestly a tougher match than it looks like, and some people might be, I don't know, ridiculing EXG for losing a round against a team that evidently looks like they're just kind of screwing around right now. But that's hard when you're, you could think heading into this game that EXG would take the same kind of prep work they would go into every game, which is you know your map hours in advance, which means you're probably dry running for about an hour. Then you're probably scrimming on the map for a couple maps against a different team in a serious form. I mean, like you're going to be practicing running through the map at a certain pace. You're expecting your opponents to be playing at a certain pace as well, with a certain amount of strategy, and then all of a sudden it turns into a peak fest, and that can throw you off kilter, and that could be enough to kind of slow EXG down. It didn't on the first round, but in the second round there, I don't think they were expecting everyone on Evil Geniuses to line up for them inside of Aquarium and start peeking. And for EXG, it's going to have to be a mindset change to try and counteract this spontaneous nature. And it's weird because that's something we usually talk about with EG, not being able to counteract that spontaneous nature of play.
They have become what they hate.
Either you die a hero or you live long enough.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I was like, he best be dropping that Dark Knight quote.
Yep.
And you did, Robert. Thank you very much.
That's what we're here for.
That's exactly why we're here. So, I mean, you have to emulate the thing that really gets to you, right? And EG has always struggled with that extremely aggressive, unpredictable play style, and now EG seems quite intent on playing it. Though they have played it in the past. They have a very almost calculated aggressive style of play. It's something that we used to see about G2, who have been a little bit less calculated, a little bit more aggressive, and it hasn't really worked out for them this season in particular. But with EG, aggressiveness often pays off. They've got a lot of really good gunners on their side. Here's something you don't see every day. Young is just standing at the service door, waiting to possibly peek out, but he can't go for the second as Crusher will swiftly shut him down. After Young had taken out Schlongi, that's a good bounce back for EXG. You lose the best gun on Accelerate's side as you'll take the F2 off the board, and the Twitch, there's no mirrors or anything like that to really worry about. No, there are no second bans. So you see the Valkyrie and the Capitao, and that's really all that's going to be unavailable in this matchup. Well, of course, outside of Lion and then Mozzie and Gridlock. So only 5 instead of the possible 7 operators. Crusher taking out Canadian. That's Crusher's second kill as he'd taken Young out earlier on. Got Necroc still stationed down inside of the site with the Maestro not too far off as NVK will just watch that kitchen window. Geo also above, waiting to see if there's going to be any soft destruction. I think he spies the buck, but he's quite cautious in pulling the trigger. He'll cost Necrox his life, though, as Bio goes down before Geo's able to refrag. Pojo pops up and gets gunned down right in front of NVK, who will now get a couple spots on the Evil Eye Cam. Moving on over, NVK can possibly shred through the 2 members of EXG inside of service. He'll try to hasten the pace just a little bit, but he's at 3 armor, not that fast. Geo's there for some covering fire. And you'll see that both Crusher and Pojo have been downed. Achieved is very low on HP, and still these marks are coming out. Geo will secure the kill that he started earlier on Crusher, waiting to see what Achieved is going to be able to put together. But a bullet anywhere on the body will be his undoing, and it doesn't matter if it's on the leg, it doesn't matter if it's on the chest. EG will pick up their 2nd round in a row, as Achieved could not retake the site with such low HP.
Pretty standard play all around for Accelerate there. I mean, they had 1 guy go upstairs on the top hold. That's probably not enough. You want one for your flank hold instead. Getting peeked at a kitchen window, also not a thing that happens all the time, but NVK taking plenty of chances there, and it worked out for him with that Alda. Seemingly limitless ammo, and then they had the cover for plant. It's one of your most standard rounds you'll probably ever see with just a few missteps from Accelerate. We go back to Blue Bar and Sunrise Bar. So even though Evil Geniuses, while they seemingly just want to throw convention by the wayside, they still hate Penn Theater, as you should. And they're not going to go to Penn Theater because they at least have some of their brain cells remaining.
I'm always curious when teams do go to Penthouse and Theater and how much it's changed as a preferred site, right? That used to be the default. Where it was what? I think it was Hookah that saw the least amount of play. Way back in the day, I remember some of the very first map stats that we ever got our hands on after I joined Pro League was it was like Penthouse Theater was #1, Kitchen was #2, Double Bars was 3rd by quite a bit, and then just behind the Double Bars was Hookah. In fact, I think Hookah was only played like twice or something like that in one of those 3-month seasons or 2-month seasons or whichever, however long they were, way back in 2017. And it was very interesting because now Hookah seems to be, for a lot of teams, the 2nd most preferred site. Kitchen is usually the most defendable, and then Penthouse Theater just doesn't show up.
No.
Unless you're Reciprocity. Reciprocity likes to go to Penthouse Theater, but that's really about it. Most North American teams will avoid that site like the plague, and a big part of that is because you have to control the lobby downstairs, which is exactly where you just saw the mirror of Geo. There's so much soft destruction below. Also over in Kitchen, that it ends up being extremely foolish for you to try and defend. There's just so much area for Penthouse Theater that you have to worry about. Despite it not being Penthouse Theater, you're going to see EG very aggressively defending off-sites. The Double Bars downstairs. You'll start things off with Necrox getting a pick on to Achieve. So the Zofia, who is the last alive, will be the first dead for Accelerate. It'll be even longer for Achieve to be able to sit on the bench and wait. Taking the place of Necrox is Canadian. You see a Twitch drone zap him, and Canadian's position has been given away. He has goo mines to stop the advances of any forces that end up on the other side of him. Just above him is Young, the roaming rook. Exactly where you want to see that 3 armor with the ACOG, and Canadian will still be able to gun down Crusher, knowing that there's going to be a second there, but it's a joint effort between both Pojo Man and Biologic. But would you look at that? Now NVK is on in. This is a beautiful Iron Man.
Thank you.
There you go, you got him. This is a beautiful Iron Man strategy. Everybody from EG is just taking turns defending inside of that office, and they're going to get a lot of kills. The bodies will pile up just outside of the site.
I was about to lose my mind. We're still equalizing at a 2v2, midway point through the round. It's Pojo and Schlongi now to push him through office into Blue Bar. You can hear the X-Kairos ring out, and he'll detonate onto that wall, most likely right beside that mirror. Yep, just on top of the mirror, but I don't think that's multiple. So they're going to have to utilize another set of X-Kairos. Waste a little bit of more time, but it's not the end of the world. You got plenty of time in the bank, and it's up to Young who was seemingly going to challenge out of that aquarium balcony and challenge the 3 members waiting outside of the office. Double door outside, but eventually elected to rotate down through luggage and come down the theater stairs for a flank. You know, I got Schlongy wary of a flank, and Pojo. They're both going in through security, headed towards the main lobby doors. Could be going for a rotate towards Young, who's now positioned himself inside of Courtyard, and he's anchored up on the left-hand side of the door frame. Probably one of the least expected spots inside of Courtyard to be played, but now Pojo will wide sweep across with diffuser in hand, and they almost angle in on a beautiful shot there from Pojo. Great read there from the remaining members of Accelerate. And now just unable to lock on the target is Gio, and Schlongy will take 1 bullet to the leg down inside of the main lobby. Looks like it's Schlongy prone inside of the main lobby, looking through these kill holes that have been pre-made by the defense. And Nitrocell gets ripped out by Gio, but not tossed just yet, playing patient. Trying to wait for this plant to go down. The Nitro will be sent out now behind the bar. It'll collect the life of Pojo. That's diffuser lost. Schlongy has to rush up now for the kill. Sprinting full tilt at the kitchen hallway doors into Sunrise. The pre-fires will miss, and Gio on the re-peek lands it onto Schlongy. Accelerate will lose yet another. Evil Geniuses, the one-man show of Gio, able to clutch that out in a 1v2. Beautifully played. The separation there from EXG, kind of questionable.
Very interesting the way that Schlongy played that. He was in Courtyard watching a rotate out. But if you're EXG, you're likely tracking that the last person left is a Mira. You know Mira has a C4. Schlongy was prone, watching the prone holes inside of the blue bar, expecting Mira to rush on out, but I mean, you know that there's a C4 on the board. You know it. You should know it, at least. Unless EXG were incorrect and thought to themselves, oh, you know, maybe she doesn't have her C4 anymore. But I mean, we didn't hear a C4 go off earlier on. In fact, was there even another C4 operator that was in play? Because I don't think so. So you have to expect that if you're counting, you know, she would still have her C4. It's a pretty suspect play from EXG, and ultimately whether that was a deliberate call, hey, hold this, I'm not sure. If Schlongy had been in a position where he was close to the double doors in Sunrise, which would have presented almost a phantom threat to Gio, knowing that somebody was nearby, and that if he did go to pull out that C4, he could still be pressured from the back, I think we would have seen that be played completely differently. EXG, the way they played it, made it really easy for EG to win that round. And Gio didn't even need to peek a second time. He could have just possibly tried to stay alive, though the smart move was to peek back and win the fight against Schlongy because it's an F2. It'll destroy you in a half a second. You don't need that much time to be able to kill the defender with it.
Yeah, it was a Legion, an Ela, Jaeger, Rook, and a Mira. Speaking of one of the operators that I did not just mention, he was NVK on the Maestro this time around. He's peeking double window inside of Billiards, but instead he'll only take about 10 damage from the shots raining out from, sounded like Achieve's LMGE, and he's been loving the thing on Zophiel as of late, and it's hard not to empathize with the feeling of never having to ever reload ever in any scenario for any reason. 150 rounds in that box magazine of the LMGE. You still have the lifeline. He's also bringing breaching charges, so just the amount of soft destruction that Achieved can rain out onto this poor Spanish map of Coastline. Crusher, though, looked like the first kill onto Canadian. Not really sure how that one transpired. Looked like he was top of theater stairs, most likely, as the window is slightly cracked, and there's a rotate hole on the far side. So the roam from Evil Geniuses, part of it anyway, will get shut down, because Lord knows, Evil Geniuses are going to go right back in the next man up formation and continue to contest it.
So a good start for Accelerate. You've taken out one of the best members from EG and somebody who's able to deal quite a bit of damage to you. Not just that, but also is going to be able to give information to the rest of his team, as you see Legion typically do. Gio has been a big difference maker in almost every match that he's played for EG, and when he's not involved, as that we've seen Gotcha take his place in a couple matches, well, you can feel it. Not that there's anything wrong with Gotcha, but Gio, I think, has cemented himself as one of the top players in North America, even though that C4 will down but not finish off Pojo Man. Just outside of range of the cardiac sensor is Gio, and keep in mind there are no points on, so you don't know, or Gio doesn't know rather, if there's somebody there. Achieved is above, just waiting, and Gio's still going to hold this angle, but he's going to have beams running the opposite way, so it might be a tougher shot for him to make. He's an accurate player, sure, but he's still going to be working against the grain, so to speak. Yeah, Pojo Man back up, but he's only 20 HP. As usual, that's not an awful lot. That's death by a bullet on most parts of your body.
Yeah, Yeah, Pojo will get revived, which is nice. I mean, you still have your hard breach should you need it anywhere else, but you're right. There's not really a whole lot he can do, especially being in a plant scenario. But as I say that, Pojo will collect a kill onto Young. The Rook will fall, achieved in tandem, and Geo on the repeat. You got NVK with 2 on the Alda as well. It's all falling apart for Accelerate now. It had the 5v3 advantage, and it quickly disintegrates into a 2v3 to try and work out of. Schlongy's made it to the top of Cool Vibe stairs, but they've lost diffuser control, and you still got Bio repelled out on the big window, taking fire. Rushing into Hookah now, claiming the life of NVK from behind is Schlongy, so the tandem is now evened up in man count. Geo at the vase, and now pressure in behind the bar, but Necrox just ducking under fire, able to land the shots onto Bio. Geo as well, cleaning up duty, and that is Accelerate dropping another one. It's Evil Geniuses on a bit of a run right now.
This is a team that didn't ban a single operator, now taking 4 rounds in a row. On defense.
Yeah.
Keep in mind. The attacker bans that you end up seeing on Coastline, it could possibly be a Glaz, could be a Ying, could be a Shield. There's a Capitao that was already banned from Accelerate, and that's because of how strong Capitao is right now, especially since we saw the changes to his asphyxiating bolts, which now grow in size the longer they go out, despite the fact they do a little bit less damage. It's interesting that we're seeing this, and it's really just EG flexing more than anything. Keep in mind, it was a 7-1 scoreline the first time these teams played, and it looks like, for the time being, there isn't that much that Accelerate is going to be able to do, at least until we switch sides after this round on attack. They were gifted that first round in large part because of EG playing some of the most brazen Rainbow Six that I've seen at a professional level. 5 ACOGs all simultaneously taking fights. Who'd have thought? Not always the best defensive strategy. EXG, still despite that, it came a little close to losing that one too.
The last time EG played Coastline, though, and on that broadcast where you and I talked about EG's tendencies on Coastline, they went up 4-0 over Rise, and then they lost 6 in a row. And then they had to win another 2 in a row just to get it back. So, Evil Geniuses, at least on Coastline anyway, in recent history have had some trouble closing out the map. Saw that in the SI game. They're on a bit of a run against Reciprocity, the last game in the quarterfinals of SI. Same thing against the Rise game as well. So for Evil Geniuses here, I guess the practice and the method you're trying to work towards here is being able to close out a game without allowing your opponents to claw back in it. That seems to be a problem for Evil Geniuses, not just on Coastline, but as a whole as of late.
All right, it's the very final defense that's going to come out, and it's going to be down on the kitchen. You see no penthouse theater whatsoever, with the bars being played twice, hookah being played twice, and kitchen being played twice. Not that much of a surprise. I am kind of impressed with the fact that EXG is running a hard breach on Coastline every single time. It is a very comfortable role for Pojo Man. We usually see him on a Thermite or a Hibana most of the time, so it wouldn't necessarily be in his wheelhouse to flex off, though he has been called extremely flexible from former teammates. I'm still a little convinced that you could accomplish this better with maybe other utility. You don't necessarily need the X-Kairos unless you're going to be attacking upstairs on Hookah, which is where you usually see them go on that pink wall, in order to alleviate some of the pressure that the defense are going to be putting on you and make it harder to hold down the pink area and possibly rotate between the Hookah site and Billiards as well.
So the setup upstairs, last time around it was just Bio upstairs, really doing a lot of reconstruction on the floorboards to look down into kitchen. This time, Accelerate sent 3 topside, knowing that the flank from Geo last time was detrimental into their setup. So they reinforce all of these soft destruction operators topside. You still have Canadian in a possible flank, though, over inside of Luggage. You got Geo now ascending the Cool Vibe stairs. You've always had Necrox topside as well in the Legion. So you've got an equalization now in manpower on the top floor from both teams. 3 men per side. Looks like 1 from Evil Geniuses might actually be rotating down now, but Geo's going to come in from the flank through the VIP hallway, and Pojo with a brilliant read will decapitate him as he enters the just bare entrance of that doorway. You still got Canadian at the top of Theater stairs as well, who can come for another flank in through Theater, but apart from that, top hold, well secured for EXG.
Usually don't have a Claymore on that window either over by Luggage, so Canadian could have possibly dropped, but he's spotted by a Twitch drone. He's going to get double tased, losing 20 HP in the process. But more than the HP that will be dire for him is the fact that he's also lost the advantage of surprise. So he'll play up top, waiting to try to get back to site. His cross could be held from inside of the main lobbies. You see the plant going down, and there's no information for EG right now. Accelerate looking to be able to bounce back. Young is just a foot away, but doesn't know that through the wall, the planter will go off. We're going to lose that fight to Crusher, though, as Canadian will take one down for EG, running out for a possible second, but it's tough. There's only 2 members of EG just left to make that one. As Canadian will be the last one left, as the entire site has been pushed by EXG. NVK will fall, and Canadian will look to walk right in. He's going to be covered from 2 separate angles, and just to add insult to injury, it's the sidearm shotgun that you don't really see doing a lot of actual damage from Crusher as he's prone. That's a nice bounce back from EXG, hopefully giving them some momentum to keep this close through the second half as these 2 teams will switch sides.
What did I say, man? Yeah, EG have a propensity to allow the teams they're playing to come back into it when they seemingly have a stranglehold. But then again, we've also said that Evil Geniuses not bringing out a lot of the strat book here. This is all off the top of their head. This is just intuition play. This is not well-prepared play from Evil Geniuses. Still be nice to see them, I guess, close out a game in a decisive fashion like they did the first time they played EXG. They've lost the ability to replicate their scoreline now. First game from the very first week of this season was a 7-1 against EXG on this very map for Evil Geniuses, but now the maximum they can grab is a 7-2. At the end of the day, your round differential doesn't mean anything because you don't need it for your tie breaks. The win doesn't mean anything because you don't need the points for seeding. So for EG, having some fun. For EXG, working out the kinks, though. I think this has been a good example of EXG's ability nowadays to be able to counter what an opponent is bringing, even though there's not exactly a hard set strategy from Evil Geniuses. The countering of how many people you're stacking upstairs for your top hold to allow your soft destructors on leniency to be able to maneuver inside of VIP with ease while Pojo was on the cover. It's a good job from EXG to, I don't know, bounce back and switch up the strategies. And for Evil Geniuses, they've brought out a few operators that they typically don't bring, especially on players that they definitely don't run them with. Young on Ashe, Geo on Breach. I'm cool with it. I'm definitely cool with it. NVK on Nomad. I don't think we've seen EG run a Nomad all that much, if at all, lately.
Not that pops to the top of my head, but we have seen quite a bit of Rainbow Six the last little while.
True.
On the border matchup last week, she wasn't banned. Playday number 12 against Dark Zero on Oregon, she wasn't banned. So there's possibility that she could have been brought, but I can't say that I think we've seen her on amidst EG's repertoire, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, also, the bigger one standing out, Young on Ashe. This is very reminiscent of G2 when they're throwing Goga on Ashe and throwing Pengu on Breach. It seems like a kind of same thing here. So on defense, everyone was sticking to their normal roles. On offense, it seems like everyone is trying to swap things up a bit. Have some fun. Flex out into roles you usually don't get to play.
I mean, the thing with G2 is that I can understand why they changed that. When we talked to Fabian, they even said, part of that was because they, gave Jonas a different role and have Pengu on Heartbreach just to see what they could do and see where Goga went. Anyway, first course of action. Eliminate Schlongy, that's EG's game plan. Well, they've done it. Congratulations. They still got 4 other bodies, though. It's going to be a cool vibe stairs push, but there's double bodies from Accelerate. They're stacked up there to greet anybody from Evil Geniuses who decides to push from that angle. Kind of surprised with how much free information EG is getting right now with all of these drones. They have quite a bit of information on Accelerate without Accelerate really knowing that there's anybody around. It's going to continue as Geo just walks in and kills Achieve. Pojoman just trying to defend as best as he can. He's got the MP5K, which is a bit strange to see for a mute. He's going to have a bit of a longer range there if he needs to. No shotgun in his hands. Evil Geniuses will lose NVK, so there goes your possible flank watch. Young is going to just endure as much of that Gumai pain as he can, but he's going to get silenced, and there's another from EXG. But EG will bounce back. Necrox taking down Crusher. It's a 2v2. There goes Necrox to Pojoman, a second kill, and Canadian now with the diffuser down below as Zofia will have to get into the site. But he doesn't have a lot of time to go.
This is your more typical setup for the Canadian, but he's carrying diffuser, which is a good thing. It seems like everyone, though, has read that Canadian will be retreating towards the cool vibe stairs. As he presses up, he's got 2 on his right. Bio on 5 HP. One shot through the benches would end it all, but no. Cut down by the Alda, and Pojo will snipe the frag with the C4. There goes Canadian in the hopes of Evil Geniuses going on a run all the way to the end, to the finish line. Dashed. by Accelerate. They pieced together 2 in a row. They're now within 1. This is a similar storyline to their game against Rise. But again, Evil Geniuses. We'll see what they do now with the role swaps, if they stick with them. They are. Okay. I like this from EG.
Why not give it a whirl?
Yeah. And give it an honest shot. Like, give it a good try. Give it a whole game, honestly. I like this. I'd love to see Young on Ashmore. I think it would just be Young claps for everyone.
Yeah, he did pretty well, too.
He did.
He did.
He did.
I cannot stress to people, by the way, just as an aside, how hard it is to say EXG and EG simultaneously, back to back, in the midst of the action. Tough. It's tough.
It's not your favorite combination.
Well, it's like when you have Secretly in Europe playing against Team Secret.
Yeah. That'll be on Friday.
Yeah, when you have Secretly on Chaos playing against Team Secret. Have fun with that one.
Yep. Gonna have a lot of fun.
The tongue twisters are really something. So, anyhow, one thing that was flashed on the scoreboard there for just a second, was the fact that Pojo Man, actually right now top fragging on his team. No shade thrown to Pojo Man, and I say this because he just doesn't play roles where he's usually required to get a lot of kills. But he's doing it. And he's still doing it on roles where he doesn't necessarily need to get the most kills. You know, he's primarily been playing Hibana on attack, and then he played Mute on defense, and now he's on Pulse. Don't really know what Achieved was doing there. Probably going for a spawn peek through the front door, but he's going to lose almost all of his HP, and I guess a bit of a fight with Necrox. That could have gone badly. I figure with the way that EG has been playing, you can get really aggressive and still try to confound them as best as you can. It appears to be the case, at least so far. Well, you almost give away your life here, and you're going to lose the rest of Achieve to Young on the window. So it was Necrox who started it off, Young who gets it, so Necrox will be awarded with an assist in the column, but that's going to be it. A lot of people actually don't really think about those windows inside of security, by the way. You often have people playing in security. A lot of times it is specifically a Legion, maybe a Pulse. There's windows there that you can, maybe battle back from. Pojo Man will pick up his 10th kill of the game as he eliminates NVK in explosive fashion. And once again, the Nomad will not be a factor in this round.
No, it's Pojo hitting double digits kills for, I think, the first time in quite a while. I can't recall the last time I saw Pojo at double digits, but the man is nuts, and the man is fragging out right now. Claim the life of NVK. No more air jabs. Could have got a couple down. We're just approaching the midway point in the round, and we're approaching a standoff between Schlongy and Young. Ash right now is Young, and he's held up inside of security. Looks like he is coming to blows with Schlongy now inside of that main lobby. Schlongy's able to somehow rotate behind the main desk without taking a single point of damage. The flashbangs will come out, indicating that Young is aware of his presence. Pre-fires now from Young, and a plant going down from Geo in the middle of the round, and somehow Necrox is inside of the bathroom as well. The plant gets called and canceled there. Schlongy will tack on for one, Crusher with another one on the Canadian. It's all Geo alone now, who tried to go in for that sneak attack plant inside of Blue Bar. Now he'll have to retreat through the security hallways. He's got 3 to find. One on his backside is Schlongy still holed up inside of the kitchen hallway now, as he's rotated away from the main lobby desk. And that's where the most recent intel would have been on Schlongy from the call-out from Young. And you're just waiting to see if anyone's rotated. Inside of Courtyard, though, will be Bio. Yeah, Crouching Tiger in behind that half wall. It's 3 straight rounds for EXG now. It was a 4-1 lead for Evil Geniuses, now equalized at a 4-4. And in that round there, I mean...
That was chaos.
That was just chaos, yeah.
Absolute pandemonium.
There's not a lot to break down with that one.
Half of EG just seemed to sprint into the site, and next thing you know, almost as if Thanos snapped his fingers, and there's 4 people dead in no time. You almost lose half of the game because of that, at least of the operators that are in the game. I like the bounce back, though, from EXG still.
Yep.
I like that Achieved took the chance on that main door spawn peek. It's gutsy.
It's something.
It shows that you've got... It shows that you've still got a lot of confidence, and you're not in a position where you might be mentally defeated. But this round is probably going to be as equally exciting, because you see a 6th pick onto the Clash from Bio on Accelerate, and I imagine that EXG were anticipating that Young on Finka was going to be 6th pick bait, and Young would switch off. Not to be the case, though. EG didn't use their 6th pick. So you've got one set of frag grenades. You've got some flank denial. You've got the ability to give a lot of good guns on EG's side. Even better, recoil. Even better killing potential. But I really like what Accelerate is bringing in terms of their lineup. You've got Mute as your possible denial onto what appears to actually be a penthouse defense. So that's a bit odd. We will see the very first time that a team will go to penthouse today.
And
Pojo, man,
long time.
In a very long time. I think Reciprocity was the last time we saw a team do this. But Pojo's setup with the Mute is going to go downstairs, and a big portion of that is going to be, how they roam. This is something that we've seen a lot of times in European teams, actually. They put quite a bit of Mute Jammers in areas off-site and not really use it for breach denial or info denial on the actual site itself. I'm assuming it might be able to assist Schlongy, who is playing on the other side of that second floor with Pojo over by luggage. So 2 bodies off-site for Accelerate. You got to imagine that Achieved is somewhere off-site as well, because it seems a little wasted that on Penthouse Theater you're going to stick the Pulse on-site.
See that Twitch run from Geo get spotted out by Crusher and Bio. It looked like it was able to make it to safety. So he's trying to angle in and be that hidden stalker, trying to find these mirrors and pop them wide open. This is one of the reasons why Penthouse Theater has fallen off. Not only is it a tough site to defend because you don't have a lot of real estate inside the objective and it's hard to collapse back upon it, but the banning of Mira has also been an issue. They're going to lose one mirror, the hard set mirror on the reinforcement on the right-hand wall, and wow, Bio's backside exposed momentarily, and Geo will take full advantage of the rate of fire and the DPS of the F2, dropping him below half HP. Props to him for having nerves of steel, and now you've got 2 Twitch runs right on one another for Geo, and there goes the second mirror now. No, okay, everything but the mirror is now gone, still attached to the side of the wall right now, as that lifeline wasn't enough to displace it entirely.
It's very interesting the way it's positioned. It probably won't be able to do too much to stop anybody behind it, or at least keep you safe, as the first Adrenal Surge will end. You can see EG is just primed and ready to push on in. They are all in a variety of different positions all over the map. It'll start off with Canadian. Necrox can't do much. Gun down from Pojo Man. That's kill number 11. So it's been a resurge from the man they call Poj Zera. Canadian just going for broke, but he's going to see Poj. Oh no! He still has time to pull out the MP5K, and he gets Canadian, despite a bit of a miss there. And a panic from Canadian, not knowing which target to prioritize. Still downstairs, Geo's going to see the Pulse, wearing the EG skin. Just a bit of irony as Achieved takes out Young, Geo takes out Achieved. And what's going to happen with the remaining members of EG? Geo's going to try to get upstairs to join NVK, who spotted 2 bodies of Accelerate. You know that one's going to be playing in the back, and Pojo just narrowly misses, losing his head to Geo's Egress up the hallway, over by luggage. MP5K trying to work around the side, Schlongy down to NVK, and both members of EXG are so low that this is very winnable. And it doesn't matter where he hits on the body. Once again, Biologic so low on HP that even though he tries the strat, referred to as the bikini body, it's not going to go anywhere, as he will get bikini bodied by NVK, and EG will take the round.
I hate you. I don't know what the hell happened to Troy there, but hey, man. My game tabbed out mid-gunfight. There you go. That makes sense. Because it looked like the old controller disconnected memes from way back in the day.
It looked like he tried to... It looked like he tried to knife the Clash and then didn't know what to do after that and just kind of...
I thought he was like, yo, Pojo's here too? Yeah, I give up. Just done. Took his hands off his mouse and keyboard. Just surrendered to the will. That is Pojo Man, and a counterpart Canadian as well. Is Pojo, another Canadian crusher. So we have 3 Canadians in the match this evening. It's the most we've had in a long time. But for this matchup now, it's EG striking back at the will of EXG, taking another round in their favor. 5 rounds to 4. So we're coming down to the wire in a game that really means everything for EXG and nothing for EG. Been an interesting back and forth contest. A lot of really, really interesting strategies. And I know I'm saying the word interesting a lot, but that's kind of the only nice way I can put it, other than chaotic. There's a lot of entropy. There's just not a lot of structure going on. And that's hard to kind of break down, and that must be hard to play against if you're EXG. Like, I can't understate that enough. If you're a team that's used to playing against structure over and over and over again, you're scrimming, you know, hours upon hours every single day, 5-6 days a week. You're getting ready for your Pro League match, and then all of a sudden, this crap starts happening. It will throw you off. It will not help you that they're playing a little loose. It will mess with you.
This is like the match equivalent of like a beard stroke.
Yes.
Chin stroke, like a is kind of how it would go, and it's been exciting. There haven't necessarily been rounds that have been won off of great teamwork or in-depth strategies. Both teams are honestly just opting to take to the fight, as Necrox does, and Schlongy and Achieved in main lobby will have no answer for the Jackal, who triggers his visor just as soon as he sees the bodies and not necessarily the feet of his opponents. And he'll walk away, EG getting a very early 5v3 advantage.
Well, it's actually probably the scariest double kill of EXG's lives at this point, because if they lose this round, they lose the possibility for 3 points. If they do end up losing or drawing this game against Evil Geniuses, they then have to look on to the Dark Zero versus Rise matchup. Should they walk away with 3 points somehow, win the next 3 rounds consecutively, bouncing back from this 3v5 scenario in round number 10, they won't have to worry. It'll be guaranteed that Rise will finish in the 7th spot. So there's a lot on the line here in this particular round, and it's all going awry for EXG in the very moment. The smokes come raining out. Crusher will have to counter them very early on. A lot of utility utilized very early in the onset here. We got sprays coming through the smoke now from Geo as Young makes it to the bottom of Cool Vibe stairs. This is going to be an absolute collapse for Evil Geniuses.
It's a very pivotal round at which you can see EXG taking a bit too many chances. I think they didn't expect 2 bodies to be, taken out early on against Necrox, and it really takes the C7E in this position, but look at that! EXG with an answer of their own! They dominate that kill feed. 4 kills for EXG all the way down, and it'll be Necrox in this position, who started off with the 2 kills, and that's all EG has so far. I don't think he's going to notice exactly where the full positioning of EXG is, and he might not be aware of the fact that Pojo and Crusher have also both been down. Oh, there he is! But Bio's there to be able to get him. Crusher was back up on 1 HP, it appeared. But there you go. What a play. That's a no-no right there. Don't say swears.
Yeah. Bad EXG. Don't swear in all chat.
Don't swear.
God.
Ignore the fact that Thermite swears in game.
Yeah.
Ignore that, please.
And Hibana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ignore the bad words.
And Clash.
Very pivotal round for Accelerate, though, because they stop EG from getting that 1 point. As you noted, even though Accelerate has that tiebreaker, you still go for full. You go for all 3 because you don't want to end up in that 7th position. And it was ultimately a very good round from Accelerate. Necrox was all on his own, and essentially the rest of EG pushed with very minimal information themselves, it appeared, and EXG countered every single fight.
Yeah, and for EG on that one, I mean, you have map control, you have man count advantage, you got 3 anchors left in this site, you got time, but again, I understand the pacing from Evil Geniuses, not exactly standard this evening. They're trying to have some fun with it, right? So clearly their fun did not account for the information that was kind of necessary to find out where Crusher was behind that bar. I mean, very default position. He just won out on gunfights, and that's another thing that's been happening as well, is EG have been happy, more than happy, to take gunfights against EXG. It seems like EXG aren't backing down at all. They aren't afraid in any capacity to go toe-to-toe with EG when it comes to pure gun skill. That's good. That's honestly really, really good for EXG to be able to keep fighting, because now you've drawn even in a round that looked like you were going to be very, very intently watching that Rise versus Dark Zero game. Now you have a chance to lock this thing up in 2 rounds still. It's a good start here for EXG as well on the defense. They're going to head to the Blue Bar and Sunrise Bar, as opposed to heading down to somewhere like Kitchen, where teams have had struggles all evening, and honestly, the last few games we've seen on Coastline, Kitchen hasn't been, I guess, very victorious for the defending side.
No, I was going to say, Kitchen round 3, EG won on defense, lost it. Here, this is the... Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely does seem like the win metrics or the the win delta or whatever you want to call it of the various sites has kind of flipped this time around. I mean, the defense are going to get an advantage early on, taking out Canadian, but Schlongy's not going to be able to do all that much, as luckily for Canadian, NVK is there to have his back. Bio's the next one engaged in a fight. It's going to be with NVK, and NVK will still exist, just very, very low on HP. Looks actually like it might be exactly 1 HP, which is what a lot of people refer to low HP in FPS games, but is actually literally 1 HP.
Literally a breadstick in the HP column. Well, the good news is that he dealt nearly the same amount of damage onto Bio, and that's considerable considering NVK is a 2 armor and Bio is a 3 armor. So lots of shots ring out, but no one able to collect a final lethal blow. Flashbangs come out, but hitting the Legion Mine on top of the desk. Achieve with 2 now inside of the main lobby. Young and Necrox will fall. They'll reset NVK. A rare occurrence these days ever since the update, but it's NVK on 20, Geo on 100 to work out of a 2v4. NVK outside of the blue bar window spots 1 inside a courtyard, and Bio will fall. Ripping through targets 1 by 1 will be Evil Geniuses, trying to establish man advantage in certain engagements while being at the whole disadvantage. You've got air jabs now placed for any rotations into the blue bar door. You got to be worried about the rotate hole in the wall as well, and NVK will rotate it over to the Sunrise entrance to try and cordon this off. It's a small pre-placed hole inside of the barricade. You'll have to lock that down for Geo to try and attempt to plant, but you still got Crusher with smokes. Achieve can still launch out some Legion Mines. It's a precarious spot here to try and get a plant off.
Geo's just going to watch intently through that window, Crusher being in the pivotal position. Pojo Man not too far off. Nitro Cell in hand, so lots of opportunity for EXG to deny an advance. And there's a body above, and Pojo actually just spots him. There you go. He's going to be crawling on his belly all the way in, and it's Geo. Hit the barbed wire on Cool Vibe stairs and begin his descent on downwards, but Achieved has that angle covered. They'll see him despite the fact that there's quite a bit of bottles in the way, and Achieved with yet another. That's 4 kills for Achieved. What a round for him in particular. Because of that, it's match point for EXG. They're only 2 points away from guaranteeing themselves out of that 7th place spot.
I'm sure if you're Rise Nation, you're looking on very intently. Now, no matter what, EXG is going to come away with a point. That means that Rise, no matter what, have to come away with a win. No matter what. If EXG are able to pull off this round right here, then the whole conversation is over. Rise will be playing the number 2 seed coming out of North American Challenger League. If Evil Geniuses can grab this round, then a draw won't even be enough for Rise. They have to get the full 3 against Dark Zero to overcome the tiebreak and overcome them in the standings to send EXG to that 7th place relegation game against the number 2 seed from Challenger League. So it all comes down to this one. We go the distance on Coastline between Evil Geniuses and Accelerate. Evil Geniuses having some fun, tinkering with lineups, tinkering with roles. EXG, season on the line with their backs against the wall and their future hopes possibly about to be dashed. They respond with 2 really, really excellent rounds back to back.
Yeah, Achieved in particular in that round really stole the show, but it wasn't even just his own play, it was the teamwork and the ability to support around him, right? You don't really often see Achieved in a primarily supporting role. He's usually on some kind of aggressive role. We see him on the, almost his trademark Buck on attack now. Actually seen teams ban Buck against EXG because they know how potent of an operator he is in the hands of Achieved. It's going to be another penthouse defense upstairs for EXG. The second time we're going to see it. A site that really doesn't see an awful lot of play, and it actually looks like EXG is going to run the exact same setup before.
Not really too surprised, and it seems like now EG have gone back to their standard roles. It looks like they might actually want this round. They might not want to lose. And I mean, yeah, it's EG. No one likes losing, but they're kind of going back to the norm right now, which is a little worrisome for Accelerate. Don't know if they'll still go for the same kind of pace that they've been setting on the side of Evil Geniuses, because they've been going Mach 10 right now throughout this entire attacking side, not really stalling for drones and stalling for information, just saying, hey, we're going to walk in, we're going to peek some default spots, and if we lose our gunfights, then c'est la vie. And for EXG right now, I guess you got to be ready for a slower round. The Jackal Pings will come out onto mute. That is Pojo Man over by the kitchen doorway, and Achieved is going to rotate through Blue Bar over to Office. Watch for anyone repelling outside the aquarium balcony. It is a Pent Theater defense, just to remind everyone, and it's a very widespread hold right now for EXG across the vastness of the map.
Yeah, it's going to actually be very difficult to drone out for EG, who have struggled on entry a number of times in the past, but you have a Jackal that will aid you. The only thing that will stop Necrox will be the mutes that are going to be brought from Pojo Man. Keep that in mind, what a play from Bio as he just walks right up to NVK on the window and guns him down.
Ooh, this is precarious here. The Jackal pings will come out and achieved on the cardiac sensor. Crusher will find another one, so Canadian will fall. Hitting the air jab, though, with Schlongy, but no one in range to collect on the free kill. Inside of the main lobby, achieved with another one on the pixel angle. Necrox will fall, so will Geo. It's Young alone in a 1v5 in the theater hallway. Bearing down on him will be Schlongy inside of VIP, one from his backside of the theater stairs. Beautiful shot there with the bearing onto Crusher. Vault to the deployable into the big window, but Bio will lock it out and accelerate. Will send Rise Nation to the relegation game. The standings are set in North America.
There you have it. I like that you mentioned that EG was running a bit more of a normal composition and they went back to the norm, as you called it, and it made, honestly, EXG have to work for it, and they did so quite well. So, overall, a pretty interesting game between these two teams. It started off kind of goofy, but it tended to straighten up a little bit, and, well, that's as big of a victory as EXG had in most of their matches this season, and when the stakes are the highest, EXG ends up coming out on top.
And that only spells doom for Rise Nation, as now they will be locked in the 7th seed. They will have to play no matter what happens in their game against Dark Zero. Now, it's over. The bottom portion of the standings are set. We have a relegation match. Of course, there is no auto relegation for anyone concerned about, who's going to finish 8th. Well, there aren't 8 teams anymore, so we kind of know who's going to get auto-relegated. It'll be the imaginary ghost of Orglis that will technically get auto-relegated, and then there will just be another opening in Challenger League in the qualifiers next season, as there has been for quite a few seasons in a row now.
Acid and Crazy not escaping the relegation scenario, because even though they weren't on Orglis, who, as you mentioned, disbanded, they will find themselves still competing in the relegation matchup, which will be coming up in some time.
Yep.
With Rise Nation fighting off any possibility of maybe losing their spot. And as we said this, NA Challenger League is extremely competitive right now.
Yeah.
There used to be a time and there used to be a place where teams would, kind of be okay with fighting in relegations because it was pretty much assured that you were going to make it out.
Yeah.
Especially in North American Challenger League, where 1 or 2 seasons I recall, the top team in NA Challenger League appeared to be Pro League ready, but not many down below did. Mm-hmm. I would say there are a few teams in NA Challenger League who, if not Pro League ready, are a couple games away from being there. And that's what's going to be worrisome for Rise Nation. So even though they did have this triumphant resurgence in the second half of the season, they did put up an awful lot of points. They still have an opportunity, to pad their stats against Dark Zero in the next match.
Yep.
It doesn't really matter. Once again, as we have shown with teams that fall a point or 2 short of making it to the playoffs, what you take for granted in the first half of the season ends up coming back to haunt you. Mm-hmm. Rise Nation had a bad first half of the season, and it got a lot better for them, but just like last season, they came so close to making it to Rio because of their triumphant run through the second half. If they had have picked up a couple more points in the first half last season, they probably would have gone to Rio. They probably would have avoided auto relegation, or relegation in this case, that 7th place spot, had they picked up more points in the first half this season.
Yeah, and for Accelerate, I mean, hey, tough start, good grindy resiliency though for the rest of the season, honestly. A couple roster changes throughout the course of the season as well. I mean, that's going to add turmoil to your season. It's going to add uncertainty and doubt to the rest of the team. They stuck with it, and they held strong, and they put up a good performance here against an Evil Genius team that was having fun. And for Evil Geniuses, the outlook is the same. You're still going to Milan. You're still the #1 seed. You're guaranteed to play a #2 seed, and it won't be Dark Zero. So your opportunities are a rematch against Nora, a rematch against Lestream, or whoever finishes second in LATAM, which could be any one of... Actually, it can't be IMT, so it could be FaZe or NIP. Immortals can't. They're the 1 seed or the 3 seed. They can't get 2.
No, because oh, is that true?
Yeah.
You have to dive.
Someone did a breakdown on it.
Yeah, because they play FaZe. So if FaZe wins, then FaZe goes. The winner of IMT FaZe goes no matter what. If there's a victory there, the winner of that matchup will go. If they draw, they end up in that, and an NIP win, then they end up in that three-way tie in which FaZe doesn't go, and it's Immortals going first overall versus Ninjas in Pajamas. So there you have it. So, I mean, you won't play Immortals, but they didn't play Immortals in the groups anyway.
No.
You know, I would have to go back. I think the last time...
EG Immortals?
When was the last time they played FaZe? It must have been the Invitational in 2018 when they played FaZe in the first round, which came down to that pivotal matchup on Skyscraper, which neither team really played.
No. No, that was a weird game, too.
Ninjas in Pajamas and EG, you'd have to go back.
Paris.
Paris, yeah.
Quarterfinals of Paris.
Yeah. Because they were the only Latin America team, Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yep.
Interesting.
Very. Yeah, so for Evil Geniuses, 2 out of your 3 possible matchups, you're in a good spot. I mean, you crushed Lestream, albeit via comeback in the first day of group stage at SI19. Down pretty handily on Villa, but able to pull that back.
I think that broke LSE's spirits.
Yeah.
I think that was the killer right there. That matchup was what ultimately derailed LSE for the rest of the groups.
So that would be a good game. But if you're EG, you know, you 2-0'd them. You're feeling pretty confident about that. You're able to clear Nora as well. It was a much closer game, but Nora without Waka is a different beast entirely.
I would say a weaker beast.
Yes.
Going in.
And, you know, if you get a Latin American team, I mean, EG have had good success against all Latin American teams that they've faced in history. They haven't really had, I guess, an upset taken against them by a Latin American team. There have been close games. Like that EG FaZe game from SI18 was phenomenal. But like you said, it came down to a Skyscraper match that neither team really played. And I don't know, your outlook looks good here for Evil Geniuses.
Because let's go back through EG's run through Latin America. It was in Sao Paulo, they played ENCE, they lost quarters. 6 Invitational. They didn't have a Latin America team in their group, in Group A.
Nope.
It was Vitality, one up Penta and them.
Yep.
Which is now G2 and which are now Navi. And then they played FaZe in the quarters. They beat FaZe. They played Rogue in the semis. They beat Rogue. They lost in the finals. Atlantic City, they lost to G2. Paris, who was in their group for Paris? Immortals was in their group for Paris, were they not?
Oh, right. I think it was them. So it was EG, Immortals, Element Mystic, which is now Cloud9. And I don't remember the 4th team in that group.
I actually don't remember the group stages for Paris.
But I remember FaZe was in Group D, which
with Secret, which was Secret, Orglos, and Rogue. That was a fun group.
Yeah, that was a messy.
That was a really fun group.
So I guess EG went 2-0 out of groups at Paris as well. So I guess
because NIP came out of the group where they played Fnatic twice.
Yeah.
They were in the same group as G2, were they not?
I believe so.
It was NIP, Fnatic, was Mocket, the old Mocket, which is now Penta, if I remember correctly. Panix was on that squad, if I remember.
It's like almost a year ago.
Or was it Liven? The Paris Major group stages, yeah, the group stages are tough.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm decently certain that Immortals was in EG's group in the Paris Major, and then they beat NIP in the quarters.
Yep.
Only Latin American team who got out of it, and they beat NIP, in which I was actually kind of surprised that it wasn't a closer game between the two of them.
True.
If I remember correctly, I casted the EG NIP matchup.
I believe you did, yeah.
And then with Kicks, and then in Rio they lost to Fnatic in the first round in an incredible game. And then, 6 Invitational. Yeah, interestingly enough. Anyway, we have an interview ready for you with Pojo Man. Hello, sir. Congratulations. Nice poach face.
Thank you.
All right. So, first question. Were you expecting them not to ban anything?
No, definitely weren't expecting that. We figured they'd just ban Buck like everyone else has been doing. And they just didn't ban it. I mean, if they're trying to hide stuff, I guess it makes sense. But like a lot of those ops that they might have banned, they might use as well. So who knows? But yeah, definitely wasn't expecting that. So we expected 5 ACOGs on the first round, and I think we got it. So
you did.
We were kind of anticipating that.
Did you feel the game tighten up at all? Because from our perspective, it definitely seemed like a lot of the chances that EG were taking in the first couple rounds did tend to change as the game went on, but then they also ran young on Ashe for attack. So.
Yeah, like the first few rounds were kind of just all over the place, and then it kind of tightened up, and then we're like, okay, we actually have to play a little more structured than we're used to, because usually kind of match like random aggression with your own random aggression. So like as soon as Glaz started coming out, I just had to peek him. So that's the only way I'm going to survive.
We saw the return of Pojzera today, as we like to call him. Would you like to walk us through your breakfast routine to get to that level today?
Breakfast routine, let me see. I had a banana and an orange and a cup of coffee.
That's it.
That was it. That was all I had.
That's half of what Troy eats for breakfast, so no.
I'm working on it.
Since you've joined the team, what do you think the biggest change has been that you've seen both as a coach and then as a player on the transformation behind the team? Because there was a bit of a change we saw when Tomas jumped onto the roster, and it seems like there's been other changes as well since you became an active player.
In terms of like, Tom is a really good player. Like I think he's still like an insanely talented player. I think we just wanted to like clean up attacks and make them more consistent. That was the main thing. And I think the biggest thing is communication. Like the amount of calmness now that we have as opposed to when I first joined is like, it's night and day. It's completely different. Like it used to be super panicked if anything would happen. People were yelling things, and now it's just what's happening, what's going on, and then the elevation of how important it is determined. So it's not like overly yelly for everything. So that was the main thing.
Now you're out of that, dreaded 7th place auto relegation spot as you hold the tiebreaker over Rise Nation. Looking towards season 10, in the off season and onwards, what would you assess as the number one thing that the team needs to focus on? And I ask you this in particular because you have a wealth of experience in Pro League, and I would imagine that you are probably inhabiting the role of the elder statesman of EXG so far, who has seen quite a lot of stuff in his time in Pro League.
The biggest thing going forward is probably just more strategies, more diverse strategies, and actually having them like more fleshed out as opposed to like on the fly as much. Like we didn't have a whole lot of time to kind of prepare me for these matches, so once we kind of get in that groove, I think we'll start doing quite a bit better.
Well, congratulations on your season. Congratulations, you in particular. I do enjoy your choice of jersey for the interview. Any prediction for the next matchup? I know that you would probably be rooting for Dark Zero, given
of course
that they're playing Rise. But
yep.
I think I speak for a lot of the community when I say it's genuinely nice to see you back and in top form. So thank you so much for the interview. Anything you want to say? Any pucks you want to get deep, etc. at the end of the interview?
No, I just thanks to all the fans for supporting us. Thanks to actually EXG for supporting us and being really helpful last few weeks. So that's about it. Get pucks deep, get pucks in the net, and win some hockey games.
Awesome. Go whichever team you might be cheering for. Go. Enjoy your off season.
Okay, you too.
Thank you. We don't really get an off season because when we have LAN.
Yeah. We got to remember, kids. Pucks in deep. Stick on the ice. Pucks on net.
It's the old red-green saying where he says if
your stick on the ice, yeah.
No, he says if they can't find you handsome, they can at least find you handy.
Exactly.
There you go. So that's it. That's it for our very first matchup of the day. Thank you for your patience. We have another one coming up, though. It was a match that could have possibly seen Rise Nation dig themselves out of the 7th spot, in which they will need to fight against the number 2 seed from North American Challenger League. But we just saw Accelerate take that opportunity away from them. It's Rise Nation versus Dark Zero coming up after this. time for our second match of our final day of North American Pro League. And it's a team that started the day in last place in North America, and we'll end it there. Rise Nation up against Dark Zero. It's a tale of quite different standings. Dark Zero are going to be going to Milan in just a couple weeks, dare I even say a month, and will be competing as one of the two teams from North America. They'll be going up against Rise Nation. We'll start with Dark Zero, though, for you, just so you can see their exact roster list. And, well, they made a change off of Pojo, brought on BC. For those wondering, if you caught the interview with Pojo, he was wearing his Dark Zero uniform for two reasons. One, well, I used to play for them. Number two, because he's obviously going to be cheering for Dark Zero over Rise Nation, because had EXG not been successful in game number one, if Dark Zero wins, it still means that EXG doesn't get into that 7th relegation spot. Their opponents are Rise Nation, who've had a good second half of the season, but still ultimately were not able to find themselves any success up the standings.
Nope, they're going to finish in 7th, thanks to the win from EXG over Evil Geniuses. So that means that Rise Nation are now in preparation mode for this relegation match that is to come against the second-seeded Challenger League team. We don't know who that is going to be yet. We have to wait for the Challenger League season to end and then the Challenger League playoffs to take place. And then we'll have a relegation match between Rise Nation, now confirmed, and one of the 4 teams that make it into the playoffs and eventually lose in that final seeding match between the 1 and 2 seeds, or that will determine the 1 and 2 seeds.
So people don't realize how North American Challenger League works, or any Challenger League works. It's that the top 4 teams don't go in by seeding. They go into a bracket system. Teams 1 play 4, Team 2 plays 3. Winners of that go into a final, semifinal, or final bracket, and then the winner of that is first overall, who advances to Pro League, and then the second has to fight for their right to party, also get into Pro League, if they're fans of the Beastie Boys. We'll bring up the map veto system for you. We went to Coastline on the very first matchup. We'll see where we go this time around. Border will be off the board for every single matchup, so if you don't like Border, congratulations. Today's a pretty good day for you. Rise Nation on defense, Dark Zero on attack, and we're going to go to Villa.
I almost went to Coastline. It was between Coastline and Villa as our last 2 maps, but no, we go to Villa. So we had a different map each game so far.
Yeah.
That's always good to have. Villa for both of these teams, weirder map, more practiced by Dark Zero, I would say, more played, I guess. I don't really know the practice routines on their map. Can't say that with any confidence. Take a look at the community vote. Again, understandable. With the number 2 seed against the number 7 seed. Not a big shock there. I think, again, the same kind of situation as last game, though. Dark Zero's probably not going full throttle. They're not revealing anything. We're going to jump right into game. We're going to expedite things a little bit here. We're jumping into Villa. For Rise, do you even show much on Villa? I wouldn't.
I mean, ultimately, nothing changes with this match.
Exactly.
Not that we're trying to get you to turn off the screen, but nothing changes with this match. Dark Zero will likely show very little because they don't have to. Same with Evil Geniuses. They didn't even ban an operator, for crying out loud.
Hey, we're back to back.
We haven't done it until today, but there we go.
Rise Nation, no banned operator. Dark Zero, will they ban ops? They will. They will ban a nomad.
They're going full steam ahead.
That's interesting.
I was kind of feeling that we were going to see a full just no bad, but we got no ban, but we got nomad instead. And the pulse. There you go. All right. So Dark Zero's obviously still going to try to get things going here. The other thing to keep in mind for Dark Zero is that while for a team like EG who don't need to show anything, Dark Zero still have not, in my opinion, established themselves the same way that EG has, and Rise Nation will once again ban nobody. So for the very first time ever, we had a Pro League team and a Pro League broadcast ban no operator, and so far today, through 2 games, the most banned operator has been the no operator.
Yes. Completely different bans from last game.
I'd actually like to see how that charts over the course of a season. Like, what is the ban rate of the no operator?
Well, now?
It's probably like 2% when you look at
Yeah.
all the games that have been played, but it'd still be a fun statistic, especially if we see it happen for the SSG Rec match. But anyway, whether we're going to see something a bit more normal than the 5 ACOGs that EG brought on defense, well, as you look, there's only 2 of them on here. It's a pretty normal lineup for both sides. Going to go to Aviator Games upstairs to start things off, which is also pretty normal.
Not a big shock. And for Dark Zero here, again, it's the same kind of questioning that we had for Evil Geniuses. You know, how hard are they going to go? How deep into the strat pool they're going to dig? You've got Rise Nation, who now also have to worry about revealing too much of themselves in preparation for that relegation game against the 7 seed, because whoever does, or sorry, against the 2 seed, whoever does come out of Challenger League, ultimately losing that game, will have time to prepare. Will most likely be preparing for that 1-seeded game. If the format does take place the same as it did last season, then all the games will be played in one night. So you won't have too much time to go back and dig up some VODs and work on a game plan, but you could prepare for the eventuality that maybe you lose that first game against the Challenger League team, the finals of the CL playoffs, and then eventually have to play Rise. Looks like Hyper's going to go for a vault out here onto that study balcony, window balcony, sorry. There's 2 study balconies. Went for a jump out there towards BC, Brandon Carr, but couldn't land a shot, as Hyper will now evacuate back into the objective. You got Nyx and BC both pushing up towards the study balcony for Dark Zero. Looks like the clear isn't going to involve a lot of master side take, and that's a little abnormal considering you have 3 members of the defensive Rise stacked on the master side.
Crazy will get droned out, expend about an entire magazine just to be able to kill the drone, and then go right back to his previous position of holding the angle, which means that he will be daring a confrontation with Nyx. If Nyx chooses to take it, which he won't for the time being. He'll pull out his drone and then go back to gather some more intel. Always strange to see an Ash on drone for as long as Nyx has been in the round. He's essentially droning himself in. He's going to be joined by one of the members of Dark Zero, not too far off of that study doorway, and Nyx is not going to make it too far in because Crazy, despite being droned twice, will still get the better of Nyx.
Now you got Acid right behind this pillar, behind 90 window, constantly being droned out by Jarvis, who's going to contend from on top of this shed roof. I guess the easiest way I can convey this spot. He's going to fall off the roof after he utilizes a lifeline to blow open the wooden barricade. Now the ADS's, one of the ADS charges will be burnt out, but now BC will be downed as well. He'll be cleaned up by Hyper on the Evil Eye. Now a frag grenade being sent in, it'll land, but it won't do any damage to Acid as he's still in depths behind the pillar. Now he'll be forced out of his position to fight against Jarvis. He'll lose that one out. A nice clean up there, but another one for Dark Zero will fall. Hot and Cold eliminated by Crazy, still at the top of these stairs. So it's down to Jarvis and Mint now to work out of a 2v4.
You're going to see Mint go down as well as England downstairs on the roam, completely undetected. He'll head towards the main stairs with Jarvis on rappel. Very vulnerable if England goes for the run out, but there's very minimal ways that Jarvis can get in that don't wind up with him being almost swiftly dealt with. Had he rappelled through the window he was looking at, well, there would be his shotgun there waiting for him. A second kill for Jarvis, though he doesn't do anything in this particular moment. It was done much sooner with Claymore set down, and England goes for the run out, obviously, anticipating that Jarvis might be in that position. Essentially, you hear the rappel on in, and well, there's only one thing to do. Peek them while they rappel. That's Hyper very easily taking out Jarvis, focusing on in as best as he can, channeling his energy. And there's no successful entry for Dark Zero into the building. Rise Nation will start off 1-0.
It's defense. It's Villa. Not a lot of hardline strats being brought out. Not a big shock. For Rise Nation, they didn't ban anything, so you can't really read into that about what they did want to play against and didn't want to play against. Seemingly they don't particularly mind what they play against this evening. Dark Zero, on the other hand, banning out a Nomad and a Pulse. And I find that interesting that they would ban the Nomad on Villa, especially when starting on the attack. I want to give yourself the best possible advantage, especially when you see that Rise aren't going to be banning anyone, so take full advantage, leave it in, and start on the defensive side, pick them apart. But hey, this game, again, like you said, ultimately doesn't matter for either team. It doesn't change the standings for either of them. Dark Zero, no matter what, if they lose, they're still going to finish in second. If they win, they're still going to finish in second. Rise Nation, they win, they're in 7th. They lose, they're in 7th. Everything is hard set in the standings. The only real changes that can happen in the North American standings will be in our next game, which will be SSG versus Reciprocity. And both of their seasons are also in the books. It's all bragging rights from here on out. On Villa, interesting decision as well from Dark Zero to not clear from the master side. That's something we see almost every single time someone tries to attack onto Aviator Games Room is, hey, we got to clear the far side of the map. But, okay, Hot and Cold's going to start things off, rejecting the spawn peek from Hyper. He's tried it back-to-back rounds, didn't find any success in the first round, but this time he'll find failure. His rotting corpse in that rest outside of that bathroom window.
And that's a pretty big operator to take down, too. Not just because you got the bullet hose in your hands with the Alda, but also the fact that the information that will be on the Evil Eye cams will be more limited, and with the changes, also much easier to counter them now. Keep in mind that an EMP from BC's Thatcher will open them up, allowing those Evil Eye cams to be shot out a lot easier than they used to be. Those are just part of the changes we saw in the most recent content patch that was released.
I wonder if somebody asked for a spawn peek and Hyper said, "Who do you want me to grab?"
Yeah.
You remember that Twitter clip? It was a good time.
So, we usually see Mint on Blitz, but this time around it's going to be on Montaigne instead. It's going to provide a completely different means of getting into the site. And obviously, you don't play Blitz the same way that you play Montaigne. Blitz isn't banned, so Mint could run with him if he wants to, but I imagine that he's anticipating there will be greater counters to Blitz, and he's not going to be in anywhere near as aggressive a role as he could be under Blitz. Look at this, just planting in the doorway. Nobody from Rise could stop this. Hot and Cold is going to get a free plant, and Dark Zero have committed next to nothing to just be able to walk out with the successful plant. The only person who's dead is Hyper, who died spawn peeking, everybody else is still completely alive. Crazy started to counter defuse as Mint is there to just watch. Hot and Cold takes down his second. Mint grabs one, Nyx grabs another. Where's Vandal? He'll tussle with Hot and Cold. He'll end him. Nyx pops in. Oh, a beautiful shot from Vandal. Waiting for the shield to drop. And Mint will still win that fight anyway. Dark Zero will answer back on a pretty cheeky push on in. And just go for a defuse behind the Montaigne, knowing that there's no counter utility to bat them away. It was a pretty easy but impressive round from Dark Zero.
Question the Nomad ban? Not really questioning the Pulse ban on that one. Kind of obvious what the strategy was from there on out. And hey, it works out for them. And Rise Nation, seemingly intimidated off of going back to Statuary and Trophy, they'll head to Dining Room and Kitchen after one unsuccessful attempt. Mint on the Dokkaebi. Now, he's been on a revolving door of operators already through 3 rounds. And he's going to 6-pick back to the Montaigne. So we're getting a little bit of stability here. England, though, going to be taking the Caveira, not even 6-picking it, just saying, yeah, I'm bringing it. You better beware. There's no Jackal. And even if there was, the Silent Step could still evade the Jackal pings as they came out periodically, but it's going to be an issue here for locking him down. They removed the Dokkaebi as well, which would have been useful in the roam clear to try and find a Cav. They swap it out to the Montaigne, which could be useful, but a little less useful as far as identifying a specific location for England. Don't want to necessarily have Mint just tramp around the map, not really having an aim, and suddenly run into England 1v1. It's probably not the best scenario you want to be in.
They might have thought he 6-picked off of it as well. That was the same thing I said with Young on Finka in the previous match, was that, you know, sometimes you pick an operator that kind of confounds you, but it's almost purposely done because they're like, oh, Caveira, haha, we know he's going to move to something else. And then you get into the mental gymnastics of like, well, is there a Caveira? Did he swap off? Oh, there's no Cav. Surely he's not playing Caveira. I'm getting interrogated, which we don't often see at this level, though you've had the opportunity to see some yourself. Be a beauty and a sight to behold. But in all reality, if you look at Dark Zero, they didn't really do much, you know, roam clearing at all. No. They just kind of executed as they could. And it's funny because a Caveira really wouldn't have helped you in those circumstances at all. It wouldn't have made the difference between Rise, you know. An Echo would have possibly, your Maestro maybe being alive could have, depending on what you were looking at. But you need some kind of, you know, counter plant utility, smokes, C4, etc. Cav doesn't bring any of that. So Rise Nation are just hoping that they can catch somebody from Dark Zero, entering all on their lonesome. It looks right now that it might be BC, who's opened up a very small hole above. He's got Vandal peeking a beautiful shot. Vandal's hitting his shots with that SMG-11. He did so last round quite well, and he'll do so continuously through round 3. A minute's been expended. And it's going to be a different entry for Dark Zero. A little bit more patience. It looks to be, from their lineup, that they're probably anticipating the same kind of play on attack.
So, transitioning from 0 roam clear to entire roam clear for Dark Zero in this round. I like the alteration, but they lose a member in the process. BC, looking down through Vandal's kill hole, will be laid to rest for the rest of the round. You've got this breach hole punched open by Hot and Cold, who's now rappelling upside down, staring down the breach hole, waiting for any of these defenders to rotate through. The hole has purview in behind the kitchen island, but now Jarvis is taking damage from the floorboards as well. Hot and Cold on his upside down rappel escapades will collect a kill onto Crazy. You've also got a smiley face, but here comes the interrogation. England able to force out all of the intel out, and he's got another one down. Going for a second, but Vandal will clean it up through the floor. Hot and Cold out on rappel and leaving Mint alone on the shield on the opposite side of the map. England could go for the run out here, but he'll think better of it as Hot and Cold now in a brazen engagement up against Hyper, who appears to be prone, trying to peek with the Alda through those breach holes.
You always get all the fun, Rob.
I try.
There you go.
Jesus.
Well, England's going to drop anyway, but he's going to get splattered by Hot and Cold. Not much left of him to work with. Vandal's low on HP, but other than that, you've got good positioning for Rise Nation for the time being. You've still got an opportunity for these toxic canisters to do great work. Mint's not going to be able to do much. Another kill for Vandal, and Hyper will shut down Hot and Cold, giving Rise Nation their second round in a row. Really crack things open with that interrogation, and even though it's only 10 seconds, it gives the defenders every bit of information as to where you are. Now, it's very likely that you're going to move, because you're not going to try and attack from the same angles when your wonderful operator icon is displayed above your head. Doesn't really matter. Beautiful opportunity to see what Caveira can accomplish with Nick solo entering, as you know that he likes to do. He drones himself in quite often. If he can go undetected as Caveira, you can possibly prey upon anybody. England's, though, going to go back on the Jaeger as we go back to Aviator as well. It didn't turn out so well for Dark Zero there. As apologies, not Rise Nation's second round this matchup. I misspoke. But Aviator didn't go so well for Dark Zero. The first time, Rise walked away with it. A lot of it was aided by the fact that Hyper didn't spawn peak at the start. And then you didn't have a pretty good strategy from Dark Zero to just walk right in and get the plant off with Hot and Cold behind the Monty. But when that kind of strategy worked, that was on Trophy Statuary in round number 2 by Dark Zero, it was more so that just Rise didn't have anything to deal with it. That's really it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that Dark Zero played it extremely well. Dark Zero obviously at some point, like we counter-stratted them, saw that they weren't the strongest there in terms of what they can bring for plant utility, and they pushed them, knowing that.
Yeah, it wasn't really Dark Zero, coming out with this crazy brand new strategy that no one's ever seen. It's planting the doorway behind the shield. It's just that Rise weren't ready and waiting for that one.
Keep in mind, we just saw Rise play here on Villa in Playday number 12, so they couldn't have played it on the last Playday because they were off, or the map was off, rather. So they can go back to it on Playday 14, and they will. And remember, that was the EXG Rise Nation matchup where EXG won 5 in a row, and then Rise won 6 in a row.
Oh, God, yeah.
That was a very intriguing match to watch, and Rise are very good on defense. So if Dark Zero can keep it close on Dark Zero's attacks, then you'll see the ineffectiveness from Rise Nation that was pointed on, or it was actually mentioned by England in regards to whether they're more comfortable on attack or defense, possibly coming out. This is your opportunity as Dark Zero. Run up the score on attack if you can, which on Villa, not so easy to do.
Not the simplest of tasks. So you still got England roaming, but like you said, it's on the Jaeger instead of the Cav, and to me that's just decisively less interesting. You got the shield pressed right up against the door frame now, which is Mint, and he'll take half his HP, surrendered now. Is that only by an impact grenade? It's a lot of damage to be done to a shield with one impact grenade, so that must have landed perfectly behind him. Wow, okay. Well, Mint down to just narrowly above 50 HP. You got flashbangs going all the way down to 90, but a Toxic Babe now being launched up by Vandal, and Mint choking on it. Gonna have to back off. He's in danger territory now as you see his health bar flashing red. He's got just over 20 HP remaining, and you have some successful breach rolls made by Hot and Cold now onto this bar wall from Study. You got a double peek about to come out, crouch height, and Acid could collect an easy 2-piece here. That doesn't exactly work, Acid, but Valiant is tent, and it, at the end of the day, doesn't do a lot to his ACOG either. You got these prone holes made here at the bottom of the bar wall that Vandal's having to contend with, and man, if he could spot the foot of Mint for one moment, that could be lethal.
And it looks like he did, though Nyx will take out England. Once again, go back to this 90 hallway. It'll be the ACOGs battling against each other, and Acid will show Nyx a seat for the rest of the round. As Acid trying to get that kill for quite a while, and he'll finally have his hard work and patience rewarded. He's going to use the pillar for cover as he's got the Zofia dumping all the utility in. Jarvis had won this fight previously when these two players tussled with one another. But Acid's going to be very important here now because the smoke will choke off any opportunity for the attackers to push on down, putting Vandal in the doorway. But Acid knows that if he peeks, he's going to be right in the crosshairs of Jarvis. So you have to be really particular about the way that you play this. Doesn't look like Jarvis has any utility left to deal with, though. So Acid and Jarvis will just be in a straight-up gunfight. See some of the wall of the smoke also disappear. As that push down Classical Hall, it's going to get really tough here for the attackers. Montaigne will take point with Vandal still there. Oh, he'll grab Hot and Cold. The shield comes down, unable to out-duel the Montaigne, but Crazy will take Mint down. Acid beats Jarvis on Repel, and it's all up to BC in a 1v4, but he won't be very long for this Earth. Crazy will pop out and take him down, and there you have it. Rise Nation now with 3 rounds through the 4 rounds that we've seen, looking very good on defense, and despite that one hiccup in round number 2, have been in firm control of the pacing of most of the defenses.
So, that round there for Rise Nation, a clinic. That round there for Dark Zero, still an example of why pushing the far side towards Master is pretty crucial. Unable to clear out Acid from 90, even with Jarvis repelled out on the 90 window. It's not enough. Even dumping everything in the lifeline at him still wasn't enough to dissuade him from his position, to force him out into a crossfire or another person waiting. Got a lot of members stacking and repeaking the same angle over and over again into their eventual demise. So for Dark Zero there on the attacks, again, probably not trying to show everything they've got worked out on Villa. They are a very strategic team. They're a very coordinated team. They are a team that puts a lot of effort in pre-game. This is not the full showing for Dark Zero. So for any Dark Zero fans out there concerned, don't fret. First of all, it's attacking on Villa. It's not the easiest of tasks in the world. And number 2, this isn't Dark Zero at 100%. I think this is Rise at like 100% fun level, though. They're having fun. It really does look like they're just trying to mess around and take everything they got, and don't take it for granted. Just take everything they got at their disposal and throw it at the wall and see what sticks, because we got a Frost coming out from Crazy. Frost Super 90. Yeah, he's definitely going to be staying in his walk-in closet.
This isn't that weird, though, to see a Frost here on the, the bedroom of Trophy Statuary, because it functions very similarly to when you defend security or monitors and border. And just in the sense where it's like, that you're going to have to vault over one of those windows. There's no door for you to walk in on. There's the 2 windows inside a bedroom, and then you've got the window inside a closet. You've got additionally, you've got the rappel into the bathroom. But all of those leave you very vulnerable to a frost mat. So even if you do go in and you get the frost mat underneath you, well, you've got a Super 90 frost waiting to, destroy you on the other side of it, which is what we've seen repeatedly. A lot of times it's the 9mm, though, that you'll see in his hands, but I suppose in this instance, because it is so close, it's smart to just take those engagements at such a short range. Actually looked like Jarvis was going to lose that fight to Vandal, which is very strange when you've got Zofia's weapon versus the SMG-11. BC first to fall, and Rise will once again find themselves with the very first kill of the round.
That's BC without a kill through 4, and now Nick's coming into hot contest against England, but he can't land the lethal blow, and England with 2! A beautiful Nitro Cell onto Mint, and Nyx will fall at the hands of the MPX. The reactionary response there from England, not taking a single hit point of damage. Gotta hit your shots, Nyx, and that's Dark Zero at a 2v5. Dark Zero in dire straits. Jarvis on 10 HP after that engagement against Vandal. Hot and Cold still outside with Diffuser as the Hibana rotating in through Study now. And he's going to come to blows with England inside of Aviator. Crouch walking out the door. The lifelines will go off and revealing the position, but now England's stunned out on the other side of the wall. Jarvis will collect a kill from the connector window. Now you've got Hot and Cold burying, and he's the last member still upright for Dark Zero. Jarvis has been down. He's fallen off the roof to safety to try and pick himself back up, as that withstand property from Zofia will keep him in the fight. Vaulting out now is Hot and Cold.
Over a frost mat? Was that a frost mat on the ground that he just vaulted over? Did you see that?
I did not see that, but...
Are my eyes deceiving me? Either I'm crazy or it looked like he vaulted over a frost mat.
We'll have to see. He hasn't gone back in that window, and Hot and Cold will take down Crazy. There's 39 seconds left. This could be a great comeback here for Dark Zero.
It's possible with Jarvis up now. The only problem is that one tick from that toxic canister will kill Jarvis. The withstand only brings you back to 5 HP, even one pellet of the shotgun as well. But oh, you don't need much HP to do that. Just absolutely tears Hyper to pieces through the wall. This comeback potential is very real. Acid an opportunity to possibly take out the Hibana. They'll line up, but Dark Zero have swung it back and forth. Vandal, who's been having a banger of a game, disoriented, will have to pop on out. He's got covering fire, not that much. Double from Vandal. Rise, a huge round. It will go either way, but Rise Nation will take it off of a miracle run from Dark Zero to make it that close, yet still so far. The final defense for Rise Nation, and Dark Zero looked like they were down and out in that round. A minute on in, they brought it back real close.
They made that one hell of a contest on a round. That was almost highlight. That was highlight reel worthy. A lot of those plays in that round were highlight reel worthy. Beautiful round there from Dark Zero to come back from the depths. Great lockout from Vandal. Like you said, Vandal's on one tonight. Vandal is having fun. Vandal is murdering everyone tonight. It's incredible. This isn't something we see. He's obviously a very good support player. He's been a very talented support player in the clutch for a long time, but we never see Vandal get aggressive. That first engagement against Jarvis to drop him to, 10 HP? With an SMG-11 against an M762 at range. Dude, we never see this from Vandal, and he's 8 kills right now. He's top fragging, doubling up the next closest, which is England.
And you had Pojo doing it in match 1.
Yeah.
And you have Vandal doing it in match 2. You know, it's not unheard of that the support players on SSG and Rec, which will likely be Skies or Bosco, depending on which team you look at, could possibly lead the standings there as well. Today is the day of the support play, it would seem.
True.
A large part of Vandal's success last season also came with Ying. If you remember, strategically teams started banning Ying against the core of this Rise Nation roster because Vandal, and the way that he played around it, it allowed both Vertical and Hyper to really thrive under that, and Vandal as well to do so. I think Vandal showed a little bit less prowess on defense, and after teams started banning Ying, statistically Vandal did fall off in comparison to where he was before that. It's been overshadowed a lot by Vertical as well as Hyper. And now with the addition of both Acid and Crazy, particularly Crazy is fulfilling Vertical's roles decently well for what Rise needed, and having better synergy, I think, with Hyper than before. Don't forget, chat, smiles are free, and you always have an opportunity to smile.
Any smilers in chat? I love that. It's sportsmanship. It's gamesmanship between the two. They're having fun. This is what I mean, man. What other game, when Rise Nation were 0-6 to start the season, did we see them drawing smiley faces on the wall?
I mean, the other thing, too, with Rise Nation is that even in defeat or in draws, most of that team is still pretty affable. They're still in good spirits.
Exactly.
And I agree with you when you said, they're having fun. I think that's the way it is. They're going to have fun whether they're winning or losing. Their fate was out of their hands coming into today. It really rested upon that EG-EXG matchup. You have to essentially roll with the punches here. And the punch has landed you in 7th place. You had, 13 games previously, 12 technically, since there's only 13 matches actually played in this region due to Orglis being removed, to possibly find yourself not in that last position. Vandal's going to pick up yet another kill. He's going to down Mint on the very first interaction. Vandal finished off 2 for Nyx. He's on the R4C. You see that the rest of Rise Nation will be recalled to site. 3 for Nyx! Whether it's the G36C or the R4C, it doesn't really matter. He's got 3 kills so far, and he'll be looking for England. That'll be all she wrote, though, as it's a double for Rise. They'll pick up 2 and equalize this in a 2v2. 1 minute to go. There's England able to grab Jarvis, looking the wrong way. Shut down by BC, putting us into a 1v1 with Crazy and BC staring off against one another. The gun unequivocally in the hands, the better gun unequivocally in the hands of BC. The C4 will get tossed out. It'll miss just a little bit short. BC taking no damage in that interaction at all. He'll go for a defuse yet again. Crazy will bait him off of it. Just waiting, but there goes BC. 40 seconds left. Crazy on in, once again, forcing BC right off. It's going to be a game of chicken. Who blinks first? But BC looks like he'll stick it for the most part. Seeing the smiley face, Crazy. Will he be the one smiling? No, it'll be BC. As Dark Zero will finally pick up a second round. It took them quite a while. And they'll emerge from the first half down, with Rise Nation having a lead 4-2.
Down to the 1v1. Nyx was on one that round, that's for sure. Honestly, that entry just not guarded by Rise Nation. And unfortunately for them, that allows Nyx to walk through and start cutting through them like a hot knife through butter. But we hit the midway point of the entire evening, as well as this game. There's 3 matches. We're halfway through game number 2. That's math. It's a 4-2 lead right now in the favor of Rise Nation. So that sends Dark Zero to the defense with only picking up 2 rounds on the attacking side. For Rise here, a team that struggled on the attack, like you said, up against EXG. This could be a game heading the distance as well, similar to our first game, which ended in a 7-5 victory for Evil Genius. No, EXG over Evil Geniuses.
I'm telling you, the
That's
EXG, EG.
Yeah, it screws you up.
It's tough.
It's tough.
So you emerge from the first half 9-3-2 for Vandal, really leading the way and honestly winning 2 rounds at least of those 6, almost on his own.
Yeah.
Excellent play. Unfortunate that he wasn't able to do much against the Hibana plant behind the Montaigne in round number 2. That's where his smoke, that's a bit of your wheelhouse there. Throw the toxic canisters down, stop the plant, but he couldn't really do much. This is the same round that Crazy spawn peeked and died. Or Hyper spawn peeked and died, rather. So, I mean, it's not like the Maestro would have been that big of a difference, but it might have changed the way that Vandal had to play as well. Maybe he was covering the spot where Maestro was playing. I'm not entirely certain how Rise is their setup.
Well, for this one here, it's going to be Dark Zero setting up on the defense. They're going to head to Aviator and Games Room to start things off. You got a Glaz and a Twitch coming out from Crazy and Hyper, as well as Acid on a Jackal. So lots of heavy damage potential, honestly, with a lot of these weapons. You got the OTS 3 on Glaz, you got the F2 on Hyper. It's going to be a fun day. A lot of high rate of fire weapons other than the Glaz rifle, but obviously one shot will put you near death anyway. England's going to rappel into this kitchen connector right now. Looks like he's going to attempt to flush out Nyx, who was down by Memorial, but will escape and scurry on back up the east stairs all the way to the top floor, right outside of the objective. It's not, I don't think it's Nyx being Jackal tracked currently. I think it's Hot and Cold, possibly. Oh no, it's Jarvis.
England on Ash is not exactly something you see every day.
No.
But that's okay. We've seen some interesting changes to teams' roles over, the last 2 hours or so, and I would imagine that we will likely see that continue. I don't suspect anything will change in the SSG rec match.
No.
So you put Crazy on the Glaz, you have him maybe do a different split push than where one of your main entries are going to be. That's an easy down and then secure for Hyper, and Rise Nation will open things up. They have been very good at getting the opening frag in almost every single round, and their chances obviously bolstered when you're able to take one of your opponents down early, especially on a map like this, where the defense tends to have an inherent advantage on Villa. You've also taken down the Maestro, so it's not just that you've been able to secure a very important player in Hot and Cold, but you've dislodged the person playing in 90, you've made those Evil Eye cams far more vulnerable, the Twitch drone for Hyper is going to do great effect, but any advantage you had just essentially evaporated, with Crazy losing that fight to Nyx. You also take down one of the 2 sets of smokes that you have in Rise's hands, leaving a lot more pressure on Acid to flush out those ADSs, or his team to flush out those ADSs, so that you can actually get the smokes down amidst the cover of said smoke. BC will win the fight against Hyper, and now Dark Zero will take an advantage in numbers.
BC walks away from the fight at 1 HP, and England and now Acid are separated from one another. Jarvis on the peek out. He'll land 2. Acid and England both go down, leaving Vandal last alive. A 1v4 now as he peeks down the hallway with diffuser control surrendered just at the envoy of 90. He's got to push his way up this tumultuous hallway, honestly, and you've got peek holes now opened up on the floor of the wall from Study in behind bar. You got Toxic Babes ringing out now, and there's not a lot to be done as flashbangs come soaring out in pure desperation. These prone holes aren't going to offer much. You still don't have diffuser. Everyone from Dark Zero will stand pat and await for an opening. And it'll be Jarvis throwing out an impact grenade. It'll still land and do some damage, but it'll take a headshot for his troubles. 2 seconds left. The time will expire. Vandal will not collect the round, and neither will Rise Nation. It's Dark Zero now, storming back, taking a round back in their favor. It's 2 consecutive for them as well.
Defense got a win on Villa. Defense will win at least through the first round, and on the site where you expect a lot of defenders to win, which is that Aviator Games Room, and then you go to Trophy Statuary and you hope for the best and see how the rotation on Villa works. There isn't really a weird bomb site on Villa in comparison to other maps. You still have the kitchen or the living room library down below. Kitchen will usually be seen as the second most picked, or the second or third most picked site, depending on what team you are. But that living room library, which has been run from Rise a couple times, in this matchup, no. But in previous matchups, yes. it's just usually the weakest site. It's the least practiced here. So I don't imagine that we'll see that site come out from Dark Zero. If they do prove to be successful on Trophy Statuary, it's likely going to Kitchen. But I mean, speculation only gets you so far. Also worth noting that Vandal saving the KD. Give yourself some nice stats. There you go. 10-3-2. Congratulations. First person to break double digits. Hojo playing almost identical roles in the EXG-EG matchup, doing the same thing. So, bit of a mirror match between these teams.
Yeah,
also,
honestly, the comeback potential as well.
Also, very similar in terms of scoreline.
Yeah.
You know, EXG on attack, won round 6, and then won their first defense on round 7. Dark Zero's doing the same thing. Won round 6 on attack, and then round 7 on defense. Look at that.
I think it's gone almost the exact same.
There's a 1 round difference, that's it.
1 round difference, yeah. That's wild. But nonetheless, we enter into round number 8, and now Crazy has opted to forego the glass, not hitting that headshot onto Nyx. He was able to hit the body shot on the trade, but Nyx hit the headshot, and one-shot headshot kind of rules this game still. So he'll swap over to the fully automatic AK, the discount AK on Zofia, and they'll look to go for a far side clear, something that Dark Zero never implemented once. Crazy still out on the balcony. He's got pressure inside of Aviator right now from one defender. And looks to be Nyx right now. He's chilling inside of Aviator, and he's got 2 now. It's Nyx and Hot and Cold. ADS is preset in behind the Aviator wall, and for this Rise Nation push, they're already low on time. They've utilized a minute just kind of staring around, but England, the dark horse, already at the bottom of the astronomy stairs, looking to be the silent flanking attacker. I don't think anyone on Dark Zero is well aware of England's positioning right now.
He's just creeping on up. Nobody might hear him. If there's barbed wire on the stairs, his position will be given away, but that's about it. I like the hold on Study side, or on the Aviator side rather, looking towards the Study that we see from Dark Zero. The only downside to that is that if you lose it and you lose both your bodies, well, it's quite an investment. Very similar to what we've seen from teams who defend cash aggressively when it's a gym bedroom defense on Clubhouse. But England's very quiet ascent up those stairs will be slowed down, at least given away by the fact there's a goo mine that will alert the defenders to his position. Backs down for the time being, and a very common played spot on Astronomy behind the desk will be given away by a breaching round. Jarvis peeks and takes down Crazy. Jarvis having a pretty good game himself, especially on Legion through the last 2 rounds. He was pivotal in the clutch for Dark Zero, peeking out of the door into 90, and now he's going to be pivotal above as well. Very similar spot, and look at that, he's hitting his shots. He'll take Hyper down too, so 2 big kills for Jarvis. Dark Zero opening things up well, and all that it's cost you is a little bit of utility and about 50 HP from Jarvis.
It's a 2-man deficit right now for Rise Nation. He's still got these punch holes in the base of the walls, but you still have to push your way across to the actual objective. Nyx will drop and take down the silent flank of England. So there goes your Ash. It's now down to Vandal and Acid. Last 2 remaining in a 2v5 to work their way out of. You still got Nyx playing the top of East Stairs, and Jarvis cutting off any rotations from 90. So for Dark Zero here, it's an easy lockout. The ADSs will take out the smoke grenades. Okay, that is very unfortunate. Flashbang will now rain down. Hot and Cold will hold off the angle on a Pixel. Still got the Echo drones rotating as well, although Vandal will win out his fight against Hot and Cold, so not to be deterred just yet until Nyx will burst right through the breach and take him down. Acid an immediate trade, but inside of the connector, Acid will not fall to Jarvis as expected, but can't land the shots while disoriented by the Yokai. Min will finally lock that one down. It was toiling down to Anarchy in the dying moments, but Dark Zero able to collect. And that's a drawn scoreline now at 4-4, so it looks like we will be going the distance on Villa. Should this continue the same rotation we saw in the first half?
I've been really impressed with the individual plays of a number of different people in this game.
Very.
And the thing is that not that their strats have been bad, very similar to the EXG-EG game, but it's just there's obviously a fluidity to this game that doesn't necessarily involve the same level of stratting to get you to, from point A to point B.
Yeah. It's different.
It's been great individual performances. I don't know how much information Jarvis was fed in rounds, 7 and 8, but he read all of the plays of Rise extremely well. 4 incredibly important kills for his team. Has vaulted him all the way up to the top of the scoreboard. And He's doing this on operators, Zofia on attack, now Legion on defense, where you're not necessarily on a support role. That can be more of a second entry role. It definitely seems like BC has taken a step back from what we've seen before in regards to where he is on his second entry. He's been using Jarvis in more of an aggressive role, but there's flexibility on Dark Zero's side. It might just be map preference as well. Who knows? But my suspicion was correct. We'll go down to the kitchen for round number 9.
Well, we saw the hated stepchild of a site that is Penthouse Theater now. I think you referred to it differently, but I'm not going to make fun of people's hair color while not having that hair color.
Well, it's redhead stepchild, and as a redhead, I get a pass. I can say that.
Exactly. I don't have that pass.
Not a stepchild, though, so I mean, I feel insensitive, like referring to that derisively. But I'm a ginger.
Okay, so we're mean no matter what we say.
That's true.
There you go. We nailed it. Anyway, Penthouse Theater was a site that is largely abandoned by many people these days, and it was still brought out in Coastline. I'm waiting to see a living room and library defense come out at some point. And that's honestly not even as abnormal as a Penthouse Theater defense these days, which is, again, weird to say, but it looks like Rise have ulterior intentions here on their attacking side. They're going to bust right into Memorial as the smoke comes out. Counteractive smoke there from Mint and the Toxic Babe. It's going to be Mint now inside of the closet trying to launch out everything he's got. Jarvis taking a lot of damage, but will win out the engagement against Acid. Now a 4v5 as they continue to press their Memorial, but they're stalling out and running into a dead wall. You've got smoke still clouding the visibility for any of the defenders to peek inside of a Memorial. And now you got drones heading out to the hallway for Rise. They need to find a new game plan here as Dark Zero have clamped down on this initial attempt. They're not giving any holes.
Wondering how long until they'll be able to finally circle on in as they need to. If you remember when it was BC on attack, essentially just baiting out Rise Nation while the rest of his team's fighting came all off-site and narrowed it down to one lone defender on site for Rise Nation. It doesn't look like Dark Zero is going to give Rise the same amount of opportunities. As you can see, Dark Zero is playing a lot more tight inside of the site. But Mint's in trouble because he might get pinched from 2 angles, one of which happens to be a glass. He's just going to look for that sliver of yellow. You hear the telltale sign of the glass rifle firing off. A frag grenade will go in. Mint's going to have to move at some point. This is a lot of utility that's being expended. Oh, pop out shotgun. Can it connect at all? No, it won't do enough damage. There's Jarvis with 2 more kills, and Hot and Cold will add to it. So Hyper will need to try to keep his team in this fight, but very minimal HP left. This is going to be a daunting task. There's still a dock up on Dark Zero's side as well. So as low as Jarvis is, it's an opportunity that Hot and Cold could possibly get Jarvis back to full HP. There's going to be goo mines in the way, and Hyper might actually be low enough where a single goo mine is his undoing. And that's exactly it. Another massive round from Jarvis, which isn't something that we've said a lot for Dark Zero, but in this case is ringing true. And with it, his team's fortunes have soared. A big comeback so far over Rise Nation. 1 point, Dark Zero trailed 4-1. Since then, 4 unanswered rounds from DZ have put them within striking distance of not just match point, but also a victory.
Not unlike our first game between EXG and Evil Geniuses, in which it was a 4-1 lead for EG, and then a 5-4 lead for EXG, and then back and forth. And then EXG came away with the win, 7-5. So will we see the same thing here for Rise Nation? Will they be able to bounce back in this and stop the bleeding? Or is the defensive side of Villa too much to contend with in the back-to-back play times that you've played on Villa, but not in back-to-back weeks because of the rotation? Consecutive games on Villa. Can you get attacking rounds? That is the question. That is the question here for Rise Nation. Vandal still leading the way, though. 11 kills. Picks up another one in that round. Like you said, you know, we've got some people in, like Jarvis right now, in the Legion Zofia role, who's definitely not a support role, but definitely not just a pure entry role and fragging role. It's kind of like this Flex, right? And he's still balling out. He's having some fun. Vandal, though, in your hard set support roles, your Hibana and your Smoke, having just a blast of a time. Just having the best time he could ever have.
But once again, not just showing why Villa is more favored for the defenders, but additionally that he does much better on defense, which is pretty much vintage Vandal. It appears that we're off to the races here, as all of Rise Nation will spawn on the same side, and they're just going to go for broke. They could possibly be in the building quite fast, but Who knows exactly what they're going to take if they just do the 5-man rush strat. It doesn't really happen on Villa the same way it does on other sites, but we've seen crazier things today. Nyx appears to be the only defender that is within striking distance of Rise. He's playing over on Astronomy. He's going to be supported by a Yokai drone, as it's very kind of Hot and Cold to be able to give him some information inside a bathroom. The drone might have actually just gone by Nyx completely, but no, he gets spotted. Cannot get out of there alive. He'll be buried from Hyper. He doesn't make it down those Astronomy stairs. And now Rise Nation have full control over the northern side and the eastern side of that second floor. So you've got Trophy and Statuary locked down. Is there going to be somebody playing over in 90? That'll be the next question that Rise Nation will have to grapple with. There's some mute jammers that might slow down their advance, but for the time being, 90 is actually vacant. It's a little odd to see. I think Dark Zero understood the way that Rise would be coming from, and very rightly have moved more of their bodies over towards the study and surrounding area. And because of this, they don't need to aggressively guard 90 the same way. There's still a Yokai drone there. You don't need to use the blast at all. You just need to simply watch and keep a clever eye and good guard over whoever's playing in that area. It was Vandal that was there. He holds the diffuser, but that information might not be known to Dark Zero. It's very obvious that it's going to be a vault take in some capacity, at least from the X-Karos going on, but a mute jammer will be the foil for Vandal. At least that is until the EMP gets tossed down. And now, there you go. That should be an easier way in for Rise.
And we were worried about impact tricks, but nobody preset, no holes pre-made. So Hot and Cold going to be dancing with peril here, prone inside of the vault. Another set of X-Kairos will be displaced onto the walls and start detonating. No possibility to shoot them as you have better alignment now on the Hibana. Oh, but it makes a thin strip in between. The paranoia of being able to shoot the bottoms of those pellets is going to actually botch this entirely. I'm sure you can crouch in between that nice little gap in the middle, so it is salvaged here, but all 3 sets from Vandal have to be utilized.
Hot and Cold could have shot that X-Karos, but decided not to because he's going to try to challenge the angle instead. If he hasn't been spotted, this is, for Rise, essentially a massive issue they're going to run into head first.
So yeah, we've got control over study, but time ticking away in a 4v5 here. You still have 5 members of Rise Nation ready to collapse down upon the objective. You've got 2 coming up the south stairs, and laying in wait is Jarvis, evading the flashbangs beautifully. Third one will, though, land on his position. It still won't blind him out, and he'll land it out onto Crazy. You've got Hot and Cold inside of the vault, hitting his shot onto Acid as well. Hyper on a trade in England on a reverse now. Hot and Cold busting out of the vault will take 1, take 2, and now it's England last alive, pushing through study. There's nothing left there. Dark Zero will take the round on defense on time, and not enough of it left in the bank for Rise Nation. That's a match point now.
Once again, showing how strong the defense is on Villa. Only 2 rounds won on attack, both from Dark Zero. That's it. Everything else has been all defense all day. That EXG Rise matchup, 1 attacking round victory. It went in favor of Rise. It ended up being the difference maker. That's it. It just goes to show you that not only are we still in a period of time where the defense can rack up a lot of round victories, but that also Villa hasn't exactly been figured out by the attackers yet.
So, for Rise Nation, I guess it continues the path that most of the season has gone on for you, and that's kind of sad in its own right. But hey, we knew going into this game what the outcome was going to be, whether it was a win or a loss for Rise Nation. You're finishing in 7th. It's kind of just over at this point. But hey, you still have bragging rights on the line. Still bring this back into a draw. For Dark Zero, try and close it out with style. Get some style points, get some extra points, draw Evil Geniuses and points on the season, because now you can do that. And then you can say, hey, we only lost out on first and NA because of tiebreak. You know, there's small things here, but the small victories aren't going to be enough for Rise here to propel them out of a 7th spot. So Vandal has now been overtaken, at least in scoreboard points, by England, but nonetheless, it's still Vandal leading the way in terms of kills. A statuary and trophy defense looking to close this thing out for Dark Zero right now. And the last time around, we saw a statue and trophy defense, if not mistaken. It was a complete lockout on the far side of the map from Dark Zero on just the backs of Jarvis and Nyx, really. On the opposite side of the map, over by Aviator and Hot and Cold, sorry, on the Jaeger as well.
It makes a lot of sense that the Legion is the operator who's really tearing it up in the second half here on defense. And a big part of that is just because, well, the longer he lives, the better his gadget gets. The more areas he can cover, the more damage he can possibly inflict, the more of work that you need to do as an attacker to spot every single goo mine that will be incredibly painful in the dying seconds of a round. If Jarvis can stay alive till the end of a round, dealing damage and inflicting pain in the process, then that bodes really well for Dark Zero, and that's exactly been the case so far. Jarvis might be able to make it out of dodge, at least for the time being, but his footprints will still give him away, as Hyper will have him under watch. This is once again a lot of time that is being used on Rise Nation just to be able to break open the reinforcements that have been made over inside of games, and Aviator over on those study walls. But some drone work would have been able to let you know that there's nobody there, so you've just used flashbangs, you've just used XKaros to essentially flush out Dark Zero, who themselves fell off much earlier on before you even started to drone.
So, much better progression here from Rise Nation, being able to flush out this defense on the far side from Dark Zero. For Dark Zero, though, the peel back has also included a verticality aspect to it. So you've got downstairs. Oh, that's ripping down a barricade to go back up the stairs. I thought Mint was about to go running on an escapade outside. That would have gone quite terribly, but nonetheless, he'll be able to escape to safety back up the astronomy stairs. So he has to utilize a rotation through the basement. That's where another member of Dark Zero was stationed as well, downstairs in the wine cellar. For Rise Nation, you did a good job of clearing out the far side, but time is once again your enemy, as Hyper will be holding off flanks. And here comes Jarvis up these stairs. They're just missing each other, but no, Jarvis will turn his back towards Hyper, and he'll collect the easiest kill of his life. So Jarvis will be felled, and that's one of your members that was downstairs. Still got Nix at the bottom of the astronomy stairs. Drones will descend in from Rise Nation. They won't really identify a whole lot. The collapse is coming from multiple angles here from Rise. They're going to have to isolate a plant spot.
So I wonder if there's going to be suitable coverage here for Dark Zero, though, as they're going to watch through multiple doorways. Mint will take down England, trade it off, as Acid manages to go for the plant after getting the kill that he needed. Mint unable to outduel Crazy, but BC slaps Crazy on down. Diffuser goes down successfully. Nobody the wiser to know that Rise was going for the plant. Either that or DZ just exercising extreme caution. You got Nix and BC back to back. Nix with a great read, takes out the drone, realizes he's going to be pushed. Good game sense to shut down Vandal. This is winnable, but the timer will be the main enemy. See, all of the bodies of Rise Nation have fallen far enough back. Amidst the smoke, this could possibly be an opportunity for Nix to get the kill. No, the C4 will miss, spraying through the wall. BC needs to look just a little bit lower. Down goes Nix. BC grabs one. He's been so clutch before. He did it on attack, but on defense, he's running out of time, and all you need to do is Acid is just waste a lot of time. BC got it, but he's not going to be able to get there in time. That should be very easy for Rise Nation to hold on. An Pyrrhic victory for BC will give Rise Nation an opportunity to tie and at least stop Dark Zero from putting it away. We will need that 12th round, as you predicted, Rob, and we might have a draw with Rise Nation and Dark Zero, or DZ might be able to continue up their trend and see that round as a blip for the attackers.
I mean, for Rise Nation there, like we said, much better progression on the far side. Time management, better. The collapse from multiple sides didn't really come to great effect because Mint was able to kind of spearhead that off from the bathroom and the master side push. It really just did come down to that onslaught of pressure coming through that connector between the two objectives, between Statuary Door by East Stairs and by Trophy Door. So, valiant attempt, but it still works out in the end. They're still able to overwhelm that one portion of the objective that they desperately needed to get the plant down. Post-plant was played beautifully, honestly. That peel back there from... Who was that on the Thatch last time? Was that Acid?
Acid was playing the Thatcher, yes.
Amen. Good time utilization, good time control, honestly, in a desperate measure, in a desperate scenario, to be able to back off like that and have the poise to not try and take the engagement. You know, game's on the line here, and you still have that kind of composure in the pressure moments. And I mean, it's another factor to, honestly, to add to the resume as to why Rise Nation decided to pick up Crazy and Acid out of everyone they could have picked up from Orless.
And the diffuser was still in the doorway, so it was very unlikely that BC, as Maestro with that huge visual hitbox, would have been able to, you know, play behind cover at some point. And Acid wasn't far enough away that he wouldn't have been able to make up that gap in 7 seconds.
Nope.
By the time you hear the very first diffuse, there might be 5.5, 6 seconds left, depending on where you actually look at the timer, and then you react from that. But it was still a very winnable situation from Rise Nation, and would have really taken a really poorly timed plan from them to throw that round away.
Yeah, the retake there from Dark Zero, it was well coordinated. If it had been expedited a little bit, there could have been more of a chance for BC. But again, Rise Nation had the opportunity, like you said, to just keep peeling back. They were never within danger territory of being outside of 7 seconds from sprinting to the diffuser and stopping a disable. So it was all in the good books there for Rise Nation. So we head to the last round here, and England's going to rappel up onto this connector window just outside of the Aviator door. He's going to pop the window into the vault door, but he'll have a clash to contend with. Mint shoving a shield in his face. England going to throw out a drone in response to this, just trying to get the grasp of what the hell's going on in front of him. Vandal as well will be droning out the far side, and we've seen honestly a significant lack of master side pushes. It's been a lot of study pushes coming out from both of the attacking sides when attacking Aviator and Games Room.
So you look at the lineup that's being brought from Rise Nation as well. They don't really have a lot to deal with the clash, if you really think about it. Zofia and Capitao tend to be two of the strongest counters. Nomad is as well, though Nomad is banned. Outside of maybe the Buck, or just simply rushing on in. As long as Mint doesn't get overwhelmed, it'll be really good for Dark Zero. But Nyx just kind of gives his life away a little haphazardly. I don't think he understood how close Crazy was. That's a mistake that could possibly cost Dark Zero later on.
Left soft wall open here from the rappel from 90 window as well, so then the Skeleton Key will be able to rip through that. They've got an entry in through Study, so Hot and Cold will shut that down momentarily. His Acid will fall inside the objective. Thankfully, wasn't carrying the diffuser, but you got a rotation now running into the headstrong approach here from Mint. He's gonna very gallantly push himself into the door frame. He's got worries from the breach holes now, but a pre-fire coming out from Jarvis will down one onto England. That was the rappel in from the 90 window. Crazy on an immediate trade though, into Jarvis will clear out 90. So now you got Hot and Cold and Mint stuck inside a site, and you've got BC on a flank.
And Crazy is being watched quite heavily by Mint, who's now pushed on out and can give more information to Hot and Cold. All of this defense right now, though, is being used over on the Study side. Crazy picks up his third, finishes off Hot and Cold. Mint is still going to exist. It's going to fall back quite a bit and wait for BC to possibly do some work. BC has been out of action this entire round, and the clock only shows 20 seconds remaining. Mint is under siege, though, for the time being. The IQ is going to creep on in, and every single body from Rise that is trying to deal with Mint is just getting gunned down by DZ. Another body being spotted as BC is going to now creep on over through the astronomy wall. Mint is completely blind, could possibly get jumped on, expecting a push, but Diffuse will need to go down as the clock is not working in Rise's favor. Crazy vulnerable for 5 seconds. Will push on in. Oh no! Vandal downs BC. Mint will have to take it into his own hands! 2 huge kills! Even with the shield and the team on his back, it's Mint to save the day. Dark Zero with the full 3 points and a massive victory leading into Milan over Rise Nation.
Another instance of Rise Nation keeping a game close against some of the best competition in North America, but ultimately they fall just short. Rise Nation, as we've noted a few times now, will matter-of-factly play the number 2 seed coming out of North American Challenger League. Regardless of what happens now, their season is done. They have made, obviously, big changes, dropping Beastly and Ghost and picking up Crazy and Acid from Orgless. They also picked up a brand new coach in Remorse, formerly of Disrupt Gaming, in Challenger League. So change is afoot here for Rise Nation, and I think the evidence truly shows how Rise Nation can be a competitive team in North America. They hang with the best every single week in, week out. They've had incredible runs against some of the best teams in North America, and this back half of the season has shown that as long as this team sticks together as a core and Remorse keeps working with them, this could be a team that will challenge next season.
Hard to find somebody in the entire scene, or even Rainbow Six competitive ecosystem, who has seen as much of the competitive side as Remorse. Yeah, he was in Pro League for only, I think, 1 or 2 seasons, but he's been involved in teams that have been knocking at the door repeatedly. He's hung around, he's got experience, and he's able to give it to the rest of the team. Especially when you look at their roster, when the most experienced player on that team is by far and away likely England, who himself is not a mainstay of the team. Keep in mind, he joined in the second half of the previous season under the name Wet Meat before he changed it back to England, which was probably one of the smartest decisions that he's made, in my opinion. But as for Rise Nation, they dropped Ghost, they dropped Beastly. Picking up both Crazy and Acid has proven to be such a smart idea for them. It has changed the way that they've played. It's allowed them to be more aggressive. They have more support on site on defense. Their attacks look a lot better as well, which was something that I really noted on this team was when you had Vertical and Hyper entering together, especially with England or Vandal or Beastly supporting them, depending on what setup it was. Rise Nation looked strong. They didn't really have that when Ghost came onto the team. They had to change up their rosters. And now, since picking up Crazy and Acid, this team has looked much better. I'm interested to see how they do through the next season if they stick around in Pro League, because I do think they have quite a bit of upside. However, we have an interview ready with Nick. So we'll bring up Dark Zero. We'll go to the Dark Zero Gaming House, and we'll talk to the team who made it to Milan, didn't get an interview last week despite making it to Milan. So this will kind of be an interview for both. So first things first, what was the first feeling that went through your mind watching the matchup last week? I know that question gets asked an awful lot, but for you in particular, it's the first time you qualified for a Pro League Finals. The rest of the team, it's been 2 years. Was it elation? What was the feeling?
Definitely just everyone was extremely happy. Obviously more so like hot and cold and mint, because it's been, like you said, 2 years ever since they made a LAN event. This is only my second season on the team, going back, joining SK. But yeah, everyone couldn't be happier. We worked really hard as a team to get here, and we're just really happy to show how far we've gotten over the coming years.
Now, I wanted to ask you, as I kind of ask every single team now that the season is coming to a close, but for you, you still have at least one more match to play depending on what happens in Milan. What do you assess as a team is your biggest weakness that you need to fix, not just potentially for Milan, but moving into the next season as well?
I would say our biggest weakness right now is just our coordination as a team. I think on attack specifically, we kind of lack coordination, and that just comes down to communication. I think sometimes our communication can be lackluster, maybe due to just high stress or just us not gelling properly depending on the day. So consistency and just communication, we got to make sure that we're playing the same every single day. Got to make sure that we're gelling well together, and got to make sure that we're fixing all these mistakes for LAN. So.
Perfect. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this game, too. The second round, where you literally just walked in through the doorway of Master, got the plant off, and backed away. Mm-hmm. I know that teams like to hold these secrets close to their chest and their strats as well, but was this something that was planned, knowing that, the team of Rise Nation don't really watch that doorway, or was that something that was made completely on the fly to take advantage of their setup?
We realized that Rise wasn't running an Echo. In the operator reveal phase, and we thought that just because we were taking the Montane, we might be able to get something sneaky like that. Mint made a call, and he was like, hey, I don't think there's anyone here watching it. We drowned at the site. It was clear, and we just took the plant. So it was kind of an on-the-fly call.
Perfect. I don't really have any other questions for you, to be completely honest. That was a fun and exciting matchup. So if you want to take some time to thank your org, to thank eCentral, who just joined on as an analyst, at the end of the interview, feel free to do so.
I just want to thank every supporter. Obviously, like you said, we didn't have the opportunity to talk loud when we actually qualified for the LAN. So, thank you to everyone that supported us ever since, the Flipside days when we haven't been making LANs consistently. So we just hope to put up a good performance at Milan and hope to, keep our fans happy and as well as our organization. So also thank you to eCentral for all the work that he puts into us. He's an amazing analyst, and we're really lucky to have him on the team. So.
Perfect. I'll be seeing you in Italy in just a couple weeks. Best of luck on the road there. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, Intero. See you there.
Thanks. Now, eCentral had come onto that roster, essentially fulfilling the role that BC was on, with BC obviously moving to active player, which for fans of BC probably signals that he's sticking around. Mm-hmm. You're not going to, if this is a temporary change just for him to come on for, 3 months and then move back to analysis, probably not going to hire somebody. But I've known eCentral actually for quite a while. And
we both have.
We both have. That is very true. He's an outstanding man, a young man who's been working really hard on his own, not just through casting, but also doing analysis work. And it's nice to see that he's had an opportunity to work on a team that will now have some LAN experience under their belt for the first time. Jarvis, Mint, and Hot and Cold haven't been to a LAN, invited at least, outside of DreamHack in 2 years.
Yeah.
BC's a bit more recent. But it's going to be nice to see them in Milan. They pick up 3 points today. It doesn't really do much in the standings, but that's it for matchup number 2. Space Station Gaming versus Reciprocity is up next after this break.
Stylish on the outside, savage on the inside. Legion by Lenovo.
Welcome back for our final matchup of the final play day of North America. My name's Intero. I'm joined by Flynn. We just saw two great matches back to back. EXG, I think, surprising a lot of people, overtaking Evil Geniuses, securing EXG's spot outside of the relegation matchup. Prep work to be done for Rise Nation as they'll be facing the second seed coming out of North American Challenger League when relegations occur. They fell to Dark Zero by a score of 7-5 off an absolutely extraordinary clutch from Mint. But two teams that were both in the hunt for a playoff spot in North America until the bitter end now find themselves fighting for essentially a grudge match. It's going to be Space Station Gaming versus Team Reciprocity. And we'll bring up the rosters for you, starting with Rec.
So Reciprocity, obviously the roster that came out of nowhere, really. Formerly of Cloud9, until they dropped Goddess, picked up Skies, and went on a tear to start the season. Tailing off a little bit ever since coming back from the Six Invitational. They made it to the semifinals against G2 at the Six Invitational 2019. Obviously, another big run. They overtook Evil Geniuses, and ultimately, when they came back to the online portion of the season, trying out some new roles, didn't bode as much success as they once had. Take a look at their opponents, though. Space Station Gaming, another team that, man, they couldn't get a win to save their life, but they also couldn't lose in the first half of the season, picking up 4 draws out of the first 7 games. And honestly, those draws kept them in it, but ultimately those draws were also their demise at the end of the season for the playoff hunt.
Now, getting a lot of draws is perfectly fine. We call it the Immortal strategy, where you just don't lose, you just keep drawing over and over again. Now, you do leave points on the table, a draw obviously falling just short of the 3 points with only 1 point. Big difference was that in matches that they probably should have won, Space Station lost. And because of that, they struggled to be able to make it. Now, they enter the day with a possibility of finishing 3rd overall, but that really doesn't mean that much outside of bragging rights, because even though they sit basically tied in the standings with Rogue and then Reciprocity, none of them are going to be able to make it to the postseason. NA was locked in last week. But we still have a map to play, so we'll bring up the map veto system for you. We started on Coastline, we went to Villa second. Border. I'm going to say this again. Border is gone. So if you don't like Border, congratulations. No Clubhouse, no Coastline. That's going to leave us with Oregon being banned out, and we'll go back to Villa. All right. I actually would have loved to have seen an Oregon matchup between Space Station and Reciprocity.
I wanted Oregon so bad.
That would have just been absolutely incredible. Real Royal Rumble. Only 10 teams enter, and one's leaving as champion. So, or 10 operators enter. I screwed up. It doesn't matter. We'll move on.
I wanted Oregon. I
wanted
actually
Oregon
sad.
as well.
I didn't want to repeat of Villa.
Oregon, I mean, it's not even a repeat of Villa. It's just like Oregon is a map where just absurdity can reign supreme with what you can do on Oregon. It's also a map that both teams are pretty okay on.
Mm-hmm.
So it possibly could have been some real fireworks to end our season here in North America. But we have a community vote as well, so we'll bring it up. Community, wrong on the EXG-EG matchup, right on the Dark Zero Rise Nation matchup, and oh my goodness, that is pretty darn close, 45% to 42%. That favors Space Station with 13% as a draw. I personally expected a draw. Mm-hmm. On Villa, it's really going to come down to how many attacking round victories do you have?
Yeah, that's the story of Villa, unfortunately. And for both of these teams, they're both very proficient on their attacking side. The defensive side for both of these teams have been a little shaky lately. More so on the side of Reciprocity than Space Station. Reciprocity with the role change of Skies heading to support rather than flex. We're ready to jump in, though. Ladies and gentlemen, ready to get underway. Reciprocity versus Space Station. On Villa, the very last game for North America in Season 9 begins now.
We have relegation still.
Okay.
Robert.
Pro League season.
I know what you were saying. I'm just giving you heck. Sorry for swears.
No, don't make me bring up my catchphrase.
Please don't do that. I don't need to hear that anymore. SSG will actually ban an operator this time. Crazy to say, but we will actually see an operator ban. They ban out Jackal, which means that Fox A might as well exit the game at this point. It also appears that we'll have a ban from Rec too, so we're not going to see any operator bans be waived over. I know that might sound strange to you, but neither Rise Nation nor EG banned operators. And we have some chatty Cathys as well in the game at the moment, as they are all unable to communicate with each other via voice, so they will just use text. Team Reciprocity will ban out both Dokebi as well as Echo, and we'll await SSG's final ban. Knowing the way that the stats go, it'll probably be Maestro, but who knows? We could see something crazy get pulled out. Oh.
Okay.
They'll ban a Legion.
Is that the first Legion ban we've seen in North America?
I believe so. I don't think we've seen a. I think we'd have to have. We'll go to the judges. Seen a lot of things for the first time today.
Someone at CGG scream at us if we're wrong.
We saw Penthouse Theater,
We did.
which was wild.
We didn't see a living room library in the first Villa attempt. We could see it again here.
Well, I think Rise really wanted to win. I
Yeah.
don't say that to sound rude, but I don't think that Rise were willing to risk that, and I think this was a motivational boost as well for Dark Zero. I was expecting match 2 to be a little bit goofier than it was. It was an exciting matchup, and it was really thrilling. And Rise Nation also didn't ban any operators. So what am I saying?
True. We actually, so for the only time this evening, we have 4 banned operators in a game. Wow. I didn't anticipate saying that at all on Pro League Desk, but.
Also, Legion has not been banned. Thank you, judges.
Hey, nailed it.
So there you have it. The 0% ban rate. I thought he was. I thought he hadn't been banned either.
Well, no operator still has more bans than Legion, so there you go. 4 bans for no operator versus 1 for Legion.
Actually, we haven't seen a single operator ban twice. The bans have been Capitao, Valkyrie, Nomad, Pulse, Jackal, Legion, Dokubi, Echo. There's been no overlap. So there's been 8 unique operators banned. It is incredible. Once again, most banned operator today, no operator. 4 bans. Pretty incredible.
Welcome.
Really showing the proficiency.
Welcome to North America when nothing's on the line.
It's like the missing no of Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
Or missing number, depending on how you pronounce it.
So for SSG starting on the defense, they're obviously on the more favorable side, but Reciprocity, I like the lineup. We got Skies going back to Ash.
There you have it.
It's been a long time coming. What site are they? Well, Mark, I just said they were Aviator and Games Room, but you're going to have to figure that one out yourself. He's going to rip open the study door partially with a bearing 9 as Mark is still facilitating that breach roll with Retro right beside him on the Thatcher. They're going to EMP out the wall where the mirror window is in play. Haven't really seen a lot of mirror on Villa lately, even though it used to run, and oh my god, what the hell? Okay, Laxing, Fox A, and Skies, the fragging trio for Reciprocity, all hunting in one wolf pack, and then they get cut down one by one here by Thinking Nade. Laxing on an immediate trade onto Rampy, though, on a flank, so there goes your Pulse. Skies has now altered course and headed over to Library, and leaves Chala alone upstairs inside a statuary, so everyone hunting in a pack, and the pack is dispersed. No one's sticking together anymore.
That's ACOG's guys as well. For as long as he has bemoaned the usage of ACOGs, you have him on the Ash running it. He gave in, I think, a season or 2 ago, as I remember him running an ACOG when he used to be on the roster that was Obey. So whether he diverts course or gets back on course, it's going to be the real question. Retro's all on his own. He's just an arm's length away from Mark, though, inside of the study, using those Xkaros pellets to be able to open up the study wall as Chala finds Skies. So there you go. The Ash is not going to have any luck. Was eliminated on the stairs. Chala had picked up his pace since Brian jumped onto this roster. Chala's been in more of a frag operating, I guess, role, you could call it. Mm-hmm. He had taken a bit more of a back seat, but I think with Brian, they've really changed their positioning a little bit. And speaking of, you say goodbye to Retro. Laxing's going to storm right in, slap Chala down. That's Bosco and Thinking Nade. Thinking Nade, who was involved in the very first kill, he's on 90, he's going to get some marks, but won't be able to hit any of the shots. I'll leave Bosco just waiting, playing around the bomb site. But Bosco's got too many angles to cover, and Laxing will be able to find him, and Retro's there with the lockout. Reciprocity, a thunderous first round, even though they lost a body early.
Honestly, beautiful round there from Reciprocity. And that's kind of what Reciprocity feeds into, is chaos and anarchy, and honestly being able to recover in the depths of a round that seems lost. At no point did that seem lost for Reciprocity. It wasn't this remarkable comeback, but honestly. Beautiful separation there, and beautiful reaction in the middle of a round that looked very discombobulated. So for Reciprocity here, like we said, the goal is get at least a couple of attacking rounds. You don't have to get them all. It's Villa. You're probably going to win your defensive set. For SSG, got to bounce back. The roam there from Chala usually warrants and nets more kills than was garnered there. Chala was able to grab one over by Statuary, but wasn't able to pick up the two pieces. Laxing charged up those red stairs and collected the kill. Laxing and Rampy paying respects to one another in chat. And I imagine that's going to be a theme throughout the game, but it's Laxing and Retro, the only members of Reciprocity who actually got a kill in that round. We still see Skies on the Ash, though. And now Foxe is transitioned over to a Twitch coming off the Finca. So we're really getting into what I think Reciprocity was denoted as a whole team at the beginning of the season when the roster change came out. A team full of fraggers. We haven't really seen that come into full force at all throughout the season. They've played remarkably structured and remarkably well above expectations, at least from the beginning of the season. But now we're finally getting to see them flex what they do best, which is, hi, we can play fast operators with fast weapons and have fun.
I think a lot of people suspected that Skies would be one of their star additions as he came onto that roster, replacing Goddess as well, who was herself a support player. And Skies has been playing quite a bit of smoke. They've been putting him in positions where Retro is actually doing more, and...
The hell? Boys.
There you go.
They got it.
They're just sticking together. They are literally a Triforce right now.
That's the thing.
They are a perfect Triforce right now.
They're gonna
the holy triumvirate.
They're gonna hunt in a pack the entire game, and I'm okay with this.
Yep, they're going in together. No Jackal, so Foxe obviously needs to be escorted on in. They'll drone in, and this is a very interesting strategy. You know, stick to the game plan. They are a unit. They're finding people on the drones. So I mean, it might work though. Skies is now going in blind. Doesn't look like there's a drone in front of him. Convoy of Reciprocity players.
He's also changed his choice of weapon, gone back to the R4C with a holographic as opposed to an ACOG G36. Going for that vertical destruction down below, trying to spot out the default mirror spots. But one of the mirrors was placed over by Trophy. Now you've got Foxe and Skies doubling up on these holes being made. That's penance for a double kill in just a moment if someone from Space Station Gaming wanted to look down through those holes and collect a couple of freebies.
I'm imagining it was a bit of a joke for them to go through the barrel together, all three of them, you know, a little bit for the show, but at the same time, they've now all spread out, and it's taken so much time off of the clock that I don't really know exactly how they're going to play this one out. They've taken control over by the Classical Hall. They've got the stairs as well. They're droning on in. They've got study control. Presumably, the X-Kairos have opened up enough of the wall to be able to push on into study, but you still need to wrestle 90 control away. You still need to figure out where the investment was from Space Station over on the Trophy Statuary side. Mark finds Chala through the holes that were opened up inside of study. It's going to be an engagement here now between Thinking Nade and Skies, playing around that pillar. It's not going to really net much for either of the gentlemen. Thinking Nade's still at full HP. Sky's really low. Foxe finished by Rampy, who's going to be on the roam for most of the game. And you find yourself back at a 4v4. Brian slaps down Retro. Laxing off screen takes out Rampy. So everything is just falling into place now for both these teams.
Yeah, you got a 3v3 right now with a flank coming up from Thinking Nade in behind. And Skies is going to have to come to first blows, but now you've got Laxing on a flank as well. Countering the flank with another flank, but there's not a lot of time left here. Playing at 90 now is Thinking Nade as Skies is holding up from the trophy connector. Bosco will take down Mark with the shotgun point blank. He'll clean that one up himself. Laxing on the trade though, and now popping up as Bosco as he's able to escape into study. Diffuser is lost and there's no time remaining. They all have to send. Laxing and Skies descending into each bomb site through one door. Bosco not peeking the door frame. There's no diffuser control, and we're going to end the round in a 2v2. There's no time remaining. Space Station will win it out off of Reciprocity's lack of time control.
What do you expect, right?
Yeah.
At that point, you go for broke, you lose the diffuser down inside a study. You're basically on an island, and you can't really get it back. And as good as Reciprocity is at getting kills, a lot of their playstyle hinges on individual performances and the way that they play, right? You got Laxing, who's usually all on his own. He's not really arm in arm with the rest of the team on most rounds. And because of that, the way that Reciprocity plays has to be very structured, because if you lose two of your bodies that are playing all together, that puts Laxing usually in a spot where he's possibly going to be in a 2v4 or a 1v3, etc. Now, the good thing is that if there's a player who's going to be able to win those incidences, that's going to be Laxing. But it's not consistent. You can't really build a strategy around it as the same way that Reciprocity does in a lot of times. A lot of the situations. Right as I say that, I eat my words because Laxing is 5-0. But that's typically what tends to happen. And he gets a disproportionate amount of focus when casters step in because he does flashy things and he plays a playstyle that is able to capitalize off of sort of the disorganization that you find from the defense. And when they play in disarray, it's very easy for him to be able to read into that and get a kill or two to keep his team really close in the contest.
So Brian's staying on the mirror roll, not really looking to move off of this anytime soon. He's having trouble making a rotate hole that will actually allow him to walk through, whether it be a rubber band or the piece is above you, Brian. I'm not sure if that's client-side on our end, but the little top piece isn't made or isn't visible, but hey, it's right above you, bud. He's got Skies out on the balcony as well. He's going to spraying towards that aviator doorway window. Lots of windows and a 3-man set from Space Station Gaming on the far side of the map. So not atypical to what we've been seeing so far today on Villa at the very least. Saw this earlier on, but looks like Reciprocity are going to angle in for a master take as opposed to a far side take. So that mirror over an Aviator Games room is not going to be utilized to its full effect. You now got a reinforcement coming up on top of the Astra rotation. So they're going to reinforce that off. They got the Astra hatch open as well. So Astronomy is free right now for Reciprocity to take. And as Parker, you would say many times over, it's free real estate. This guy's going to walk into a trap, though. So there's a Toxic Babe laying in wait. And you've got another member right in behind him. It's Foxy on the Maverick missing the shots against, it appears to be Brian. Foxy's on 1 HP now in the back. You got Flashbang coming out being caught by the ADSs. You can see the mirror window visible now, and it'll be spotted and disabled now by Foxy from behind. Foxy on 1 HP, though, is going to have to retreat and not be the pushing force on this fight, as he'll leave that to Skies and Retro.
Oh, but there you have it. Doesn't really matter. Even though that poke hole was created by Foxy, the slower speed on that torch will be his undoing. Ryan's going to be immediately traded off by Skies, and here you go. Reciprocity able to start the ball rolling. Rampy, unbeknownst to Laxing, will finally end the Laxing's reign of terror through these 2 rounds, 5 kills, an impressive tally, assuredly. Just a lot of patience, just a lot of waiting.
Yeah.
For the time being, as they stack up and hold angles. Neither team really taking the engagement. And for Space Station, as they lose a lot of their fights, leaving Rampy last alive against the remaining 2 members of Reciprocity, Space Station's patience has been one of their greater strong suits. And there it is. Rampy's not going to be able to get back into the site. Sky's just waiting and watching the doorway. And caution ahead. Reciprocity will pick up a 2nd round on attack, which is not unusual for Villa, but it's definitely about pushing what you see. Anything more than 2 rounds on the attacking side, and you were having a pretty good game.
And it's the sites that it's coming on as well. We've got Aviator Games Room, 1 attacking round victory, 1 attacking round loss. We transition to Trophy Statuary, 1 attacking round victory. Those aren't your typical sites that you grab your attacking wins on in this usual 4-2 split. It's your defense will win your top 4 sites, and then as soon as the defense rotates downstairs, then you'll get an attacking round. That's the way that it usually transpires on Villa. Reciprocity's attack, though, has already garnered 2 out of 3 rounds, which is also something we should note, is it's early on. So right now you got to watch Space Station go on a run here in the first half on their defensive set to set it to that 4-2 half, so we could ideally send off into this tie scenario where both teams go 4-2 split on the defensive side. Or it's Reciprocity going to put a curveball in the plan and force Space Station Gaming as well to win more than 2 on their attacking side, which, as I just mentioned, it's a very hard feat to accomplish.
I'm curious how much a Legion really affects the defense, but given that it's Space Station that banned it, they were likely, expecting to play without it.
Yep.
Right? It's like, it was like the Empire Lestream match last Friday, was that Lestream banned Thermite after Maverick was banned. Lestream obviously was intending to play with only Hibana, which is what really throws a wrench in the plans of Empire. So yeah, the attackers will likely be at a disadvantage because there's no Thermite, but Lestream will, as an attacking team, likely not be in as much of an advantage because they know how to play around it. At least that's the thinking behind it. Space Station have likely banned the Legion so that it removes a key component of Reciprocity's defense, yet it's Space Station who right now seem to be struggling on defense.
Laxing with a nice punch hole downstairs. I guess he's anticipating some resistance downstairs inside of the wine cellar, waiting for a member of Space Station Gaming to rotate down and honestly give him a contest. But that hasn't been the case so far for Space Station. Now the breaching charge from Laxing will come out onto these wine barrels, and he'll start droning himself through as the wolf pack of Reciprocity seemingly has disbanded 3 rounds in. Not entering in all as a group downstairs. You still have the duo of Retro and Mark upstairs. It seems like Retro and Mark for the first 4 rounds now have done what the rest of the team usually does, and then Skies, Laxing, and Foxay all go off and do their own thing. So you still have your Breach and you still have your Thatcher clearing out and doing normal site take things. But now you got Skies. He's going to have immediate contest from inside of Aviators. He tries to rip directly into the objective. He's going to look like a kill onto Thinking Nade. He's got to worry about the flank coming back in from behind, as it appears to be Rampy trying to retreat. It's Chala instead. And now looking across the way, Sky's going to try and hit the fadeaway on the vault, but he won't land it. Now Bosco will chew him up with the SMG-11. Laxing on the trade to Rampy. That's a 4v3 in favor of Reciprocity in the midst of chaos.
Was that the Obsidian skin on Skies' gun as well? Has he not been saying that he wants that skin for so long? I didn't know he had access to it. That was the year 2, year 1 season pass skin? I think it was year 1 season pass skin, if I remember.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
All I know is I have it. So.
I have it as well. Get flexed on.
Yo.
Anyway. So Skies just vaults right in, realizes that the entire site is mostly clear, but of course he doesn't have that diffuser. Safe to say he wouldn't have been able to get it down anyway. Brian takes out Mark, and we're back at a 3v3. Though Space Station's 3 members, their cohort, have all taken enough damage where 1 bullet less could be all it takes to shut them down. But with an SMG-11 in hand, that's high rate of fire, Fox will be punished. Goodbye to the Twitch. Losing out on the high rate of fire on the F2 is Reciprocity. Still, Bosco's at half HP, Brian low, and Retro inside of Master Bedroom will have a small window in. But look, once again, this patience from Space Station, just lying in wait. Not giving a single inch. Trying to bait out a member of SSG, though, is Retro. Toxic Canister goes across, and you'll have some heavy breathing on Retro's side. He'll reposition to go for a plant, now with Laxing holding on a cover, knowing that the smoke is across the way. Right now, Retro is completely concealed, and the only push is going to come out from around that chassis of the bomb, which Brian will be spotted, and Retro will land the shots, getting the diffuser down and then also claiming the Maestro. It's going to leave Bosco to have to retake. They'll come up the stairs, but it's going to be Laxing holding this angle. Very unlikely that the smoke is going to be able to make it around, and there's the Commando doing what the Commando does. Reciprocity, a 3rd round on attack. Space Station just being overwhelmed, and despite that patience, when they need to move, it's Reciprocity lying in wait of them.
Well, the good news of this game is it's a little more standard than the other 2, I guess I would say. Much more standard than EXG-EG, I would say. You still have the Skies, Foxay, Laxing trio doing their thing, but for the most part, SSG are responding accordingly. It seems like a normally paced game. Everyone's on their proper roles, apart from Skies. For Space Station, though, you're in danger territory. We've talked about it a couple times now. 3 attacking rounds, out of 4 rounds as well. This is also not typically the order in which things will go. Typically, you'll have the defense start off hot, and then you might have an attacking team counter. Yes, Laxing. The Rainbow is Magic skins are the best skins in the game. We're going to go back to Aviator and Games Room, though, now for Space Station's defenses. They were wholly unsuccessful twice in a row on the far side. It's not something you see every day either on Villa. SSG have also gone 1 for 2 on this specific objective, so at this point, you're probably SSG. If you're losing this round here on Aviator Games Room, you're probably debating heading downstairs to either library, living room, or kitchen and dining and trying to throw Reciprocity off. The biggest problem is allowing Skies to walk directly into sight or allowing Reciprocity to have their way with the objective wall. There's no impact tricks coming out onto the Habanas. There's no contestation of Master inside of the Trophy and Statuary defense. There was obviously a roam set up there from Chala inside of Aviator while Skies went up those red stairs, but wasn't holding the angle to make sure Skies couldn't walk in and kill his teammate.
Almost got Bosco, too.
Yep.
As you called it, the fadeaway.
Yep.
Here's a big part of why Rec have been doing what they've been doing. SSG usually have somebody playing in the basement. It is almost always Rampy, depending on what role he's on, and the Pulse playing down there can still see pretty far up. Also, I think Skies has changed weapon skins every... That's a suppressor.
That's a suppressor.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I'm I'm sure. I'm sure they've got some thought process behind this.
I would hope.
Essentially thinking that somebody's going to be on 90, but I mean, we saw the flash go up there. There's nothing really to worry about for the time being. It seems like that Triforce, as we called it, is just kind of running all over the map, doing whatever they want, while you have Retro and Mark actually doing the job that is required, being serious adults inside of Aviator, as the rest of the team does as they do. But I mean, despite that, it's the Skies Laxing Fox combo that's picking up most of these kills and essentially allowing Mark and Retro to have all that space to work with and support.
See Laxing downstairs doing some work with the electronics detector, and it looks like Thinking Nate was attempting to impact trick that wall from the breaching potential of Mark on the Hibana, but it looks like one round of X-Kairos partially was successful. Not sure if that was actually an intended bandit trick or Kaid Electroclaw trick. It is something, but half the wall and half the set of the pellets get opened up regardless. So we have a square opening now in that Aviator wall from Study. You've now got Rampy down below, as you called, this time in Memorial. You got to be wary here if you're Laxing. You're within range of being spotted here. A Nitro Cell will go soaring up into the floorboards, but it will not do a single hit point of damage onto Foxay. And now the call will come out for Laxing to go hunting. Rampy will have to try and evacuate. You got Foxay flexing down the stairs as well, and Sky's holding the Astronomy Rotate. Rampy's got nowhere to go but to kill time. He's going to walk into a Claymore first. It's an easy spot for him, but he doesn't know that Skies is waiting for him at the top of the stairs. The G36 suppressed will still garner a kill.
I was hoping Rampy had a run into the Claymore, which would have likely claimed both of them. So a little bit of the offsite presence from Space Station, as Mark doesn't appear to be doing any damage done to him from the smoke, but there you go. The C4 will do all of it. Doesn't need to take away with the toxic canister. It'll also force another member of Reciprocity on in, grab that diffuser. It'll be Retro in this position. We'll just wait for some cover from the rest of his team, but he's completely concealed. Laxing is the cross, along with Foxay watching it. Good teamwork will allow Retro to be able to get that plant off. Foxay watching the 90 hallways. Retro takes another one down. Foxay and all of Space Station are bursting on out, with Chala in a position now where he can be easily spotted. It's going to be under heavy watch. 4 different bodies of Reciprocity. And it's going to be an amazing round from Rec. Yet again, they are looking absolutely unstoppable on these attacks so far. They've taken 4 of the 5 rounds, and Space Station just do not look prepared to deal with these strats.
Nope. And for Space Station, now it's crunch time. Now it's get this one back so it's not a 5-1 deficit going into your attacking side on Villa. We're talking about a complete rout here from Reciprocity. If you're Space Station now, you just need to focus on this round and then bank on Reciprocity making a few mistakes. Foxay with the fuse. Not many will get this reference. And it's not actually a reference to anything. I'm just remembering his Canadian Circuit Land Final performance on the final round on Cafe with Fuse. How long ago was that?
That's Ace Clutch Master Canadian Nationals winning Fuse Foxay.
Exactly.
By the way, he aced on the very final round on Cafe Dostoevsky and won the Canadian Nationals.
14 Canada.
14 Canada, as they were called.
I know there's like 6 of you out there who watched that, but hey.
I was there.
You were there.
I was in the audience.
You
we
were.
had just finished the 6 invitational group stages for the final day.
You did.
We had the next day. It was the day before the invitational 2018.
Yeah, day before main stage.
Yeah. And I went and I saw you casting.
Aw. And now we're here.
I mean, I didn't go for you.
No,
I
you
saw
did.
you casting.
Yeah, you went
It's
for
hard to avoid you.
You went for the free drinks.
No, I went. Milos and I actually went to see people.
Yeah. The free drinks didn't hurt.
I don't even think I had an alcoholic beverage that night because I worked the next day.
Ah, true.
So there you go.
True.
There you go. I'm responsible adult.
I did not work the next day.
Very similar to Retro and Mark the Shark, a responsible adult.
Yeah, they're being the adults today. They're letting their children run amok and have some fun.
And they're essentially setting up Foxay, Skies, and Laxing in positions to be able to do what they need to do. Whether it be in the, device denial, whether it be in the hard destruction, etc., right?
Mm-hmm.
So, also looked like we were going to see the cluster charge, but, oh no, that's a tough one. But he knows that somebody's playing there now, though, too, right? Because you heard the gunshot as the drone missed the entrance through the barricade. You see the 90 control is being held by Maestro. So at some point, Reciprocity are going to have to dislodge Brian from playing in that spot. If you look at the actual utility that's on the board of Wreck, outside of flashbangs and a cluster charge, there's nothing really there, but the window's gone, so you can't flush him out with the cluster charge, so that option is off the table. This might be actually very difficult to be able to get the Maestro, unless you do this. And the pitter-patter sound of the suppressor. Oh, Rampy's got his back turned! Sky's doing Sky's things, 2 big kills. He'll just walk right in, and nobody from Space Station is turned the right way. This will put the Bandit now in hot pursuit, potentially, if Chala knows where Skies is, but that information deeply held by Reciprocity. Chala's still there, though. He'll get Retro in the meantime. Doesn't know where anybody else is. Skies won't be able to get another. Chala winning this one out in Obsidian skin of his own, making a comeback, I suppose. So it's 2 big kills for both teams. One in the hands of Skies and the other for Chala.
Chala had a resurgent game last week and looks to be doing the same again. He's up on top of the bench, but no, his leg will be spotted by Laxing, who leaves Thinking Nate on the Kaid, and Bosco on his typical smoke roll, last alive to hold out the bombardment of the objective, but Thinking Nate will fall at the hands of the Type 89. The last remaining adult for Reciprocity will grab a kill, and now it's Bosco left alive inside of the vault in a 1v3. Clamped down from every possible angle, and going for the plant in behind the bar is your adult figure, your father figure into Mark, putting that plant down. And Foxay, the clutch there as the fuse, reminiscent of that Canadian Nationals game. We head to a 5-1 split at the half.
On attack, a 5-1 split is normal for defense.
Yeah.
Not really normal for attack. Pig, by the way, is a call.
That connector thing.
He's not
What is
calling,
pig, brother?
He's not calling
Paycona?
him. He's not calling him a pig.
No.
Not to offend your sensibilities, you know.
You can see Villa's a newer map. Nobody's got universal calls yet. We try our best.
I fear the day that theme park comes into the rotation. It
Oh,
never
dear
does.
Lord.
There's 80 rooms.
There's 80 rooms and 80 different callouts for each room.
Yeah. See, because like colloquially we like use certain terms
Yeah.
for rooms, right? For example, think about bank, you have banana,
Yep.
which a lot of teams call it banana. And then there's like, I feel like it breaks down very evenly. Like half the teams are like, yeah, it's banana. And the other half the teams are like, please stop calling it banana.
Yep. It's 50-50. Can't make everyone happy.
Yeah.
We try.
Laxing has 1 death through 6 rounds. And his team is up 5-1. And I know we refer to them as adults, but in all seriousness, the way that Foxay, Skies, and Laxi have been playing have been working really, really well. Because they've been able to take advantage of the fact that most of the attention from Space Station is going on to what Retro and Mark are doing.
Yep.
And this, dare I say it, organized chaos that we see from this Reciprocity squad is actually working very well. And it's because Mark and Retro are giving the space, as I said a couple rounds ago, to Skies, Foxay, and Laxi. Now, Skies has gotten, or Foxay's rather, has gotten very unlucky with a lot of his opening deaths, just finding himself being the one member of those 3 to essentially be in peril, whereas Skies and Laxing have been maybe a little bit slower to get in, and because of that, they've lasted a little bit longer, but I'm still really like what I've been seeing from this Reciprocity trio on attack, despite the fact that Retro has been racking up an impressive amount of kills himself. Now, as we transition over to the second half, at Space Station will be on attack. They're bringing a lineup that is pretty common to see. Capitao has been a staple of a couple teams' lineups. Space Station has been one of those teams, along with Dark Zero in North America, and Rogue as well, who run Capitao quite a bit. And he's really strong. He's in a very good place now. That M249, which will find Laxing and open things up, giving Laxing not just his second death, but also shut down by far and away the strongest player that's been on Rek's side. What this does is, number 1, you have an asphyxiating bolt that expands in size and flushes out defenders really well. Also, that new scope on the M249, which also just took down Mark, is a very strong weapon now, very minimal recoil. That's a good trade there from Bosco, as the Capitao is going to be on watch from Skies in that window by 90. Skies will move on back. But yeah, I'm not surprised to see Capitao get brought on in. Those asphyxiating bolts can be so strong. There's only 2 members of Rec left. Make that 1. Say goodbye to Skies. Flip conventional wisdom on its head, Rob, as the attackers appear to be at the distinct advantage. Let's see if Retro can possibly live a little bit longer than the minute and 20 that's left against every single member of Space Station.
He's got an ingress in from the door, and nope, that was short-lived. Okay. I was ready to know. Aw, he drew a sad face. It's okay, Rampy. They're only dead in the game. Yeah. Big sad. It's okay, bud.
I distinctly remember the sad face that Rampy made on
Last
this
week.
map against G2.
Oh, right.
all.
Yeah. That
Where
was
he-
also a big sad face, yeah.
That is one of the most, I suppose, tragic moments, just like from emotions that are shown
Yeah.
in a player. We don't really, in esports as a whole, you don't really get to see a lot of emotion oftentimes.
No.
Players kind of hang their head and then just walk off the stage, and that's it. You have those moments where every now and then you'll see a player get extremely emotional, maybe out of anger, maybe out of joy, etc. And that was heartbreaking. You got to see it on Rampy's face as he made the realization that you were out of time, and that was it. And that matchup against G2, which, if you haven't watched it, you should go back and watch it after this matchup is done in particular. But the attackers have now won all but one round so far of this game through 7 rounds. On Villa, that's very peculiar. On Villa, as of late, that's very peculiar. That last round really came down to, I think, Rec being a little bit too aggressive and Space Station doing what they do best, which is holding angles and waiting. Chala and Repel in particular, he just waited for people to take fights with him. And that M249 has very minimal recoil and a really clean scope on it. It stands to reason that you're going to be able to land those shots. There's not that much of a difference between a lot of these players in reaction speed.
Sky's altering course a little bit, going away from the fragging trio. Even though last time around, Laxing was on Maestro, and he'll do the same this time. You still have Mark now on a Jaeger, so I guess the trio's changed slightly. But Skies is on Castle. Castle's a weird pick. Especially considering he's putting on an exterior windows, where that's the easiest one for anyone with breaching charges to utilize. You could have Rampy with breaches, you could have Brian with breaches, you could have Chala with, no, not breaches. You could have Thinking Nate with breaches, though, if you really wanted to. So you could have a myriad of breaching charges. You also just have Bosco with a lifeline. So that'll be one Castle Barricade on 90 window taken care of. You still got Mark in behind 90, bouncing around the pillar, waiting for a repel, but it's Chala on a very, very deep angle. We saw Jarvis utilize last game for Dark Zero. And for this defense here for Reciprocity, I imagine the main goal is stay alive a little bit longer, because they were taking some engagements last time, and Chala was ripping right through them.
The other thing, too, is that if you put Chala in a position to watch 90 with the breadth that asphyxiating bolt now grows to, man, words are hard, is you should be able to push most people out of 90 quite safely with one asphyxiating bolt. Very similar to the way that you would attack Oregon basement as well. It makes holding those angles, which the much larger range or area of effect, rather, the AoE of those bolts, making it really challenging for the defenders. Don't know if the knee is spotted here from Chala on this angle on the window upside down. Not be in a position to be able to collect a kill, just waiting for somebody to move. There's a body that's behind the desk. It's just sitting on the Evil Eye cam, or another cam in general, whose position really hasn't been spotted yet either. There it is, it's Mark, and it'll be very easy. As Chala's distracted, and Mark will put down the ADS in triumph.
Nice little celebration trophy right there to keep in his back pocket. So now he's still safe from any of those concussions and throwables.
We don't call it a trophy system for nothing, Rob.
I hate you. So minute 10 remaining, and now droned out on those east stairs will be Foxaze. He's droned out by Rampy's Twitch drone. And holding the cross now will be Rampy for anyone to maneuver their way inside of the B bomb site. Inside of Aviator, but Reciprocity obviously vacated. We got 3 members in and around the bar objective in games room. We also got Skies at the top of South Stairs. And Foxaze going for a long run. Skies will take his kill clean out of his hands. Bosco will still ultimately perish. And now coming to the top of these stairs, Foxaze walking away on literally 1 HP. There are 2 members for Space Station left alive to keep this off a match point. There goes the first Evil Eye, and there's an example of the new change. The EMPs will open up the bulletproof glass. Down below, Foxaze has been identified and now taken away by Brian on the Type 89. But he's going to take the time to actually go and collect the kill, and he's going to get hit by the concussion mine that Ella keeps in the back pocket in the DBNO phase. EMP goes soaring down. A Kobe to 90, and now this will cue Mark to peak. The ping's coming out, but there's basically no time remaining, hitting another concussion mine as Brian, as he tries to walk up the stairs. And flurry. Now the ping's come out. There goes the diffuser. Brian will at least trade him out, but there's not a lot here. No diffuser, no time. The peak comes out from Skies, but hitting the deck is Laxing to secure the kill onto Brian. Space Station Gaming on the verge of being eliminated.
Yeah, I cannot get over how dominant this game has been for Reciprocity. I actually thought going in that it would be really close, but is not to be. There's a bit of a transmission error. Please pay no mind to it. Happens from time to time.
It happens. It's fine.
So Reciprocity find themselves now on match point and on defense, the side that is favoring them. And in all reality, they probably should be able to close it out here going over to Trophy and Statuary, because it does usually lend itself well to the defense. That's the way that Villa works. And for Rec, they're going to bring a very familiar
For God's sake.
lineup. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lord.
Alrighty. Lord and Savior Tachanka. Well, ain't this just a clown fiesta? We got a mute bug, and we got Tachanka, and we've had a cav and an interrogation, and we've had no operators bands. It's a fun day, Parker.
He's wearing the Rainbow is Magic skin as well.
Oh, thank God. That makes it okay.
I am unsurprised by this gusto that Laxing is bringing out. I will tell you that much. And in a position in which I believe it was the Six Cup that just happened, or whichever, I can't remember the exact name of it. It was the French national tournament, I believe, that happened this weekend, in which Lestream, Aces in particular, got a Tachanka spawn kill. I would not be surprised to have seen Laxing do that, but no, there's going to be hesitation here. If he's been droned out, then this information on Space Station is going to be theirs. Keep in mind that you have a pretty hard counter for the Tachanka, and it's Chala, number one. Number two, it's also Bosco, and if you need to, Rampy, because you can just tase him 5 times, take 50 HP away, should you need to. So, with the match on the line, of course, Reciprocity will roll with Tachanka.
Well, why wouldn't you? So now you've got Bosco opening up some windows, along with his entire entourage of teammates on Space Station Gaming. Honestly, the focus here should be Laxing and seeing if these fixating bolts from Chala can displace him, or Bosco just sending it impacts. You've also got a mirror window in the midst of reinforcements. Bosco's second-guessing the rappel onto the Astro window, and that's a smart decision there as Laxing has gotten off the turret and is angling in with that 9x19 VSN. You've got Chala in probably the weirdest role of all time for a Capitao with an LMG and a very low ADS time, a long ADS time. Bosco will collect the kill onto Foxay, though, as he tries to drop down the hatch. Or no, he dropped down the hatch after grabbing the kill onto Foxay. My apologies. Chala downstairs on a roam clear as well, looking for anyone with a Nitro Cell, but Foxay was the only one who could have possibly had a Nitro Cell, and he perished inside of the objective. We still have this mirror window with a nice little Habana hole in the bottom of it, so it kind of becomes useless, but I guess you could look and then hit the deck, go prone and peek. You've still got Retro downstairs at the bottom of Astro Stairs as well. Now, a second set of X-Kairos will be used horizontally instead of vertically to displace the mirror. It will pop open the mirror, thankfully, but now you've got 2 sets horizontally. You can't walk through that. You still got to crawl through it.
Oh, boy. And obviously, this Twitch drone will go mirror hunting at some point. Still got the one next to Tachanka, but it's in a position where it's going to greatly aid any defenders that are playing there. Retro finds Chala from below, and now Laxing is waiting, possibly for somebody to sprint on out of the bathroom, right into the watching eyes of Tachanka on that turret. Retro, who was able to get away largely scot-free, will now ascend the stairs with Rampy in hot pursuit. Mark falls to Bosco, and we actually see a bit of a change from Tachanka, but he'll fall off now. Retro just catching the heel below of the twitch of Rampy. Doesn't look like he does any damage in the process. They're just trying to back up for the time being, with Laxing engaging at a much longer range than his gun is likely suited for. Skies absolutely splatters Rampy on the stairs, and Laxing trying for his own, though he's severely injured. Now Skies will just try some area denial, pulls out the SMG, gets one, goes for another as well, just to try and stop everybody from pushing on in through the doorway. Laxing unable to land the shots needed, and it's been a swing in favor of Reciprocity, but they're all so low. Only 10 seconds left for Reciprocity. Laxing pops up around the shield. PMM out. He's downed. Where are Retro and Skies to come to the aid? But 1 second left. Brian starts the diffuser plant. Somebody from Rec are going to need to pop in. And SSG peels off. Retro's Reciprocity with a score of 7-2. Will walk away with an incredible performance, and ladies and gentlemen, on our score screen, we are graced by the beautiful Tachanka rainbow skin.
And what a weird, but, I don't know, fitting end to North America for Season 9.
It was, let me just say, out of all the days that we have had, today was definitely a day.
Today was a day,
It
that's
was a
for
day.
sure.
That's a good way of putting it.
So Reciprocity coming with the win. I believe with that win, they cement 3rd place.
Correct. They went in with third place.
They went in with third. There was a possibility for Space Station to take third. They could leapfrog Rogue, who they're deadlocked in points with, but they don't get any points in this. So Space Station stay at 5 now, I believe. With
They're
Rogue
tied with Rogue in
vaulted them.
4th/5th, yeah.
Yeah. So because of the tie break, Space Station stays at 5. So literally nothing changed in the standings between the beginning of today and the end of today, and that's kind of what we said would happen.
Yeah, I mean, that was the outlook going into today. I think it really hinged on that EXG-EG matchup, right?
It did,
because
yeah.
you have to be a bit disheartened if you're Rise Nation playing in those circumstances, knowing that not only was your fate not in your own hands for today's matchup, but your fate was sealed heading into your match, too. Could have been a completely different story if Rise Nation and DZ played first.
Yes.
But that wasn't the case. Due to the scheduling the way it was, which, by the way, was done months ago, EXG-EG was to start things off, and which could have possibly had playoff implications for EG, but they sealed the deal last week as well.
That's how she goes. So, nothing changes in North America. Rise, still in a relegation spot. Nobody getting auto-relegated out of NA, unless you count the corpse of Orglis that has, one member still on it. But not even. So, Orglis takes up the auto-relegation spot. There will just be an extra spot in the CL qualifiers for Season 10. CL Season 9 has not yet been completed, so we don't know who Rise will play in the relegation match. We have to wait and see the last Playday of North American Challenger League, which is this Friday, and then the playoffs, which I believe are next week. At the conclusion of those playoffs, we'll then have relegation matches. So we're waiting on dates for relegation matches for dates when the CL playoffs are done. For North America, for the top tier, though, it's EG, it's Dark Zero. They're going to Milan. We knew it last week. The seeding doesn't change. We'll have to wait until Friday to do the seeding draw, though, and that'll be a lot of fun to see who plays who in the quarterfinals, what the bracket will look like for Milan for the Season 9 finals.
I mean, we had that magical moment where G2 and EG got the quarterfinal rematch
Yep.
in Atlantic City from the Invitational.
SI-18, yeah.
But, I mean, G2 didn't make it, so...
Yeah.
In fact, as it stands right now, the only team of the 6 teams that are locked in that has won a previous Pro League event is Evil Geniuses. So you've got the opportunity for 5, unless you count the fact that Fnatic and Norarengo have won the APAC finals.
True.
Fnatic has never won a season final nor a major. Neither has Norarengo, neither has Listream.
True.
Neither have Empire. So, but anyway, we have an interview for you with Reciprocity, and we'll bring up Hopes, the coach of Rec. And we'll talk to him instead of the usual Foxay. That's okay. How are you doing? You didn't play in today's matchup, but you got to watch it just like we all did at home.
Yep.
Anything surprise you about the matchup today?
Well, we didn't really run strats. I know all week we were just kind of stressing just to have fun with scrims, and what we were doing is we were just having Lax, Skies, and Fox just kind of do whatever they want and just run around. And it seemed to work in scrims. It's not part of our strats, but it was definitely just fun to watch. And I mean, it works, so we're happy with that.
Was there any tactical decision between Skies changing skins every single round, or was that just him doing something to just psych out the opponents?
I think that was just him doing what he wanted. So, I mean, we're fine with that.
Now, you jumped onto this team, and, well, the team's identity changed as well. You picked up Skies. There's actually been a lot of changes for Reciprocity as a whole. I've asked this question to both, Dark Zero and EXG, and I figured I'd ask you as well. What's the biggest thing that you're going to be looking at fixing in the off-season between now and when we come back for Season 10?
I guess just staying consistent. One thing that we have trouble with is kind of keeping the same energy, whether it's scrims or match days. Sometimes we get down. We're a very emotional team, I guess, for better or for worse. So we play really well when we're on one. We're just clicking on all cylinders and we kill everybody. But when we're not doing very well, we kind of struggle, and that kind of shows in our attacks when we stall out a little bit.
Have you settled on your roles as well? Because this was something that I remember Laxing talking about. It might have been on Twitter, basically saying that you had changed up your roles a little bit, and then there was a bit of a slump that you had, and you changed back. And since then, you've been seeing some success again. Was that an experiment that was done out of necessity? Have you solidified the roles that everybody has on the team moving forward?
So after our G2 loss at Invite, mistakenly, we decided to change some roles, which we shouldn't have done. I know we had Skies more in a hard breach support role, which we were practicing against not very, high quality teams. We were playing against CL teams, and it seemed to work, but We never really got good scrims during that time period, so when we tested out in matches, it didn't really work the way we expected.
Yeah, so, I mean, since then, there was a bounce back from your team. You put on an impressive and fun matchup today, and it's always nice to see the Rainbow Tachanka on the final scoreboard, a phrase that I never actually thought I would ever say in my life when I got this job. So, at the conclusion of this season, you get the last interview for North America. Anything you want to say to the fans, your family, your friends, etc., just to cap us off for our final Playday NNA?
No, we just wanted to thank our fans for sticking with us. I know our second split was kind of disappointing. We really expected to go to Milan. It really just came down to those Rise and EXG matches where we should have got some points at least. But we just want to continue to thank our org for supporting us. And if you haven't already, buy one of these rec pullovers on reciprocity.gg. So they're really nice. So buy those.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopes all the best in the off season.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, as a hoodie connoisseur, that looks mighty enticing.
You should have worn one today.
I would have got yelled at.
You had an opportunity, man.
I'll wear one Friday for the
Oh, you're not wearing
reveal.
one Friday for the reveal. You can't do that. Friday.
Why not?
Because North America only had the one relegation matchup on the line. Latin
True.
America and EU have some pretty significant matches. You can't wear a hoodie. Come on.
He's ruining my dreams, chat. He's ruining my dreams.
Stop talking to chat. They don't want to hear from us.
You're right. We just talk into the ether. We talk into a camera, and there's no one on the other end.
Yeah. It is a little odd staring at it, but that's it. That's it for North America in the books. I hope that you enjoyed your time here. I hope you enjoyed your time here. You're still going to be going.
Yep.
You're going to be doing both Latin America and EU this week, which will be, I think, like your 8th and 9th consecutive casts in a row. So thank you for soldiering on. I will say this is my last time casting with you, potentially until relegations.
Yep.
Is that you have been an exceptional fit for this desk, and it's been a pleasure having you here as a fellow Canadian. And I think everybody else can agree with me. And you're going to be with Kicks for both Wednesday and Friday's matchup. So I just want to say thanks for joining me, at least, and for joining us, too.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for being such a great duo and a great partner.
With the standings for you at the conclusion of North American Playday number 14. And here you go. Here's how it is. That's it. It's final.
Over.
It's over. Evil Geniuses and Dark Zero will be playing in Milan in about a month's time. Reciprocity, Rogue, Space Station, Accelerate are going to be sticking around. They've got some work to do. And Rise Nation, they in particular have some work to do. They picked things up in the second half, but it didn't ultimately end up being enough, and they will have to fight for their right to stay in Pro League against a Challenger League team of the Challenger League's choosing, I suppose.
Yeah.
Over the next week. And we'll know Challenger League for North America runs on Fridays at the conclusion of our EU broadcast. So when EU is done, you got any Challenger League to go and watch.
It's like 8 hours straight of Siege. It's a good time.
It is a good time. And I know that when I'm usually done casting EU, I likely go home, I settle on in, and I'll watch some NACL as well. But with half the salt, as the name would make you think.
Yes.
That's it for us for North America. We'll be wrapping up both Latin America and Europe later this week. Thanks for hanging out for North American Playday 14. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you on Wednesday.